Welcome to the meeting of the Weare Board of Selectmen for January 16th, 2023. We started at 6:30 with the DPW director and a transfer station employee in non-public. Brings us to 7:05, Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to entertain a moment of silence by request of Selectman Osborne. As you can see, Selectman Van is not with us. His mother passed away over the weekend, so our condolences are with him. Thank you. And before we get started with the public hearing, we received a statement from zoning enforcement, and it would read as follows, that the planning and zoning would like to thank the public as well as the selectmen's board members for their input and comments regarding the hospitality rental ordinance. After considering further public comment and the climate, Planning and Zoning Department have decided to table the housing rental ordinance. This ordinance be reevaluated and resubmitted in the near future. So that is why it is not appearing on the town warrant this year. So just wanted to put that out there first. So that brings us to the public hearing at 7:06 to hear public testimony and comment on the 2023 overall proposed town budget, including all separate, special, and petition warrant articles, as well as disclosure of the default budget. And as always, the finance administrator has prepared this very nice packet for us.
I don't think it included the warrant, per se.
Doesn't have the warrant in it?
No.
No? Okay. All right, so the warrant will be coming around
After it comes off the copy.
after the budget. Oh, is she making copies?
She is.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, no, I have it. I think I do anyways. I hope I do. Thought I did. Maybe I don't. Maybe I don't.
You can look at mine. I got it memorized.
All right, so the first few articles are always the planning board amendments. What's the board's feelings? Go article by article, probably?
Yes.
Yep, that's how we'll go. We'll go article by article. I believe everybody has a copy. Oh,
Would you entertain a question to you folks before you get started?
yeah, we'll entertain a
A
question.
respective question,
Yeah, we'll entertain
or
it.
respectful question?
It's fine.
Okay. I know there's a change in public comment. So.
Yep.
And I say respectful comment. In the past, the selectmen have had meetings, with draft warrant articles, and you've discussed them. Probably 3 or 4 drafts maybe before it got to this point. That did not seem to happen this year. So is this the first time that the selectmen have seen this warrant for tonight?
As a
public board?
as a public board, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's why, again, that's why there's no numbers on it,
Okay.
or et cetera. I mean, there's numbers populated, but no numbers on the warrant
No,
articles, et cetera.
I get that, I
Yeah.
get that. But
Yep.
it would give, for me, and maybe other people, through the draft procedure, it would, as it develops, it would give a little bit more insight than just seeing it right,
Okay.
first time. Okay, thanks, that's all I need right now.
Thanks, Frank.
I appreciate that.
Yep. So I believe everybody has the information regarding the proposed and default budget. I know that we're out there running the rest of the articles, but I think everybody has the budgetary information in front of them. So we will accept any public comment on the budgetary items for the, yeah. Okay. Right?
Frank Campana. I noticed that, I asked my wife, I found out this was on the website, so I couldn't print it out, so she had it printed out for me. So I have to thank her. But I noticed the bottom line, there's a, still, it's a different, for the proposed budget column, there's, and I got too many papers here, but I noticed it is less than, you had a final go-through with the budget, was on a Thursday night, it was on the 5th.
Right.
And I had this, Beth provided me a copy ahead of time, appreciate that. So I had it marked, this was a final revised budget. You went through each department and made some cuts. So I couldn't figure out, so what I did is I went through each department as listed in the warrant, and then I correlated it to the budget printout. And there was a, shoot. I know, too many papers. There was a $39,357 difference between what was, I termed the final budget that you folks went through,
Okay.
and, which you did in public, and then it was different on this here.
Right.
So I went through each department, and I'm not going to make it a quick, I'm not going to make it a trick question. I found, and it may need confirmation, I found the difference to be in the insurances. I don't, okay, you have that, page 13? Some folks don't have it. Oh, well, it might be in the spiral book. So, I did the subtraction on this new proposed bottom line and the previous bottom line from that workshop. And again, I found the difference to be in the insurances. First, I need to know if that's the correct place, and that was, I stopped there because, you know, the 39,000 matched with the 39,000 in the insurance. So the insurance was decreased, and I think there's a, oh yeah, there is. Like I say, I have too many papers, so bear with me, please. So it's on, it's letter O, top of the page in the warrant. So am I correct that that's where the difference is? Like I say, I didn't go beyond that because it, the
Frank, I
numbers
believe you
match.
are correct.
Okay.
Beth is back in the room, and maybe we could get Beth caught up. So the difference from the previous meeting when we adjusted the final budget, we came out with a final bottom line. Then since then, now that we have the new the budget completely finalized, Frank is asking that correction we're seeing, that difference of that $38,000 and
39.
change, 39, sorry, Frank,
No, that's okay.
is attributed to the insurance,
Correct.
correct?
Yeah, we
Oh.
got the invoices for '23, and they were lower than expected.
Oh, okay. All right, so that, I was going to further that, you know, when did the selectmen discuss that in public to okay that? So it was strictly Beth's, because of invoices to do that?
The state tightened the numbers up.
Oh, okay.
Well,
I'm not
no, we
state,
were
Brian,
given
correct.
we were given an estimate from Primex,
Right.
and then when we received the actual bill in January, it was less, so we
I
reduced.
know that has been the case in the past, but not
Just wanted to
knowing, not being discussed, you know, I didn't know.
I could've left
I know,
more.
you usually figure on the high end, and then when
Well,
you
we
get
give,
the dollar
we
amount.
used what we were provided in the fall. And then when January rolls around, they actually bill you for it after their audit.
Right,
it was the actual numbers, what you're looking at now.
Okay. Because again, in this printout, Beth has it noted as actual costs
Right.
for the three thing, but that's not really, that's maybe actual costs as of, I don't know when, but certainly not since they got the bill.
And then one on the 5th,
Yes,
yeah, that was the actual cost as of the 5th.
okay.
Then we got the real bills.
Okay,
Between the 5th and today.
I get that.
So that's how we know what the real number is.
Okay, fine,
Yeah.
perfect. That's all I needed for that. So, thank you again.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
I may be back.
Thanks for that observation. Appreciate it. Anybody else on the municipal budget? Oh, Helene?
Helene Kirk, Mount Dearborn Road. Can you just tell us what still is in our debt service? What things are still in there?
Off memory,
A road bond,
yeah, the road bond, the DPW garage,
that's it.
and that's it.
Thank you.
Like I said, I didn't think there was anything else.
And it gives you the year. Next to it in parentheses is the last payment year.
Okay.
So the DPW garage is 2026 and the road bond is 2029.
Okay. Yeah, so they mature in 2026 for the garage and 2029 for the road bond.
Richard Butt, I have a specific question on fuel. It looks like the highway department, the fuel line's gone up about 120%. The other two departments that guzzle fuel, the fire department and the police department seem reasonable in terms of their increases. Obviously, the police department's more gas, the fire department's more diesel, and the highway department is probably all diesel. But curious, is the fuel line in the highway department increased as a result of an increased cost per gallon or usage? Because 120% seems like a big hit.
So the board took the predictions of the feds as far as what fuel predictions were going to be, our own gut feelings, and what we did is we took the gallons used per department, and we multiplied it by a factor of what we decided to set the fuel to. And that was, I believe, what, $4 for gas?
$4.50 for gas.
$4.50 a gallon for gas, and we came to
$7 for diesel.
7 for diesel.
So does this increase reflect an increased cost per gallon for diesel, or,
Yes.
Projected cost.
and is that reflected in the fire department as well?
Yes. It's gallons used times that amount, that figure we came up with.
Okay. There was no other factors? I mean, if this going up 120% and the fire department going up 25, 30% in cost?
No.
You think there'd be a correlation between?
It's just usage, I believe. Again, what we do is we take 30, because we have the automated system down there, so we take the gallons average over the last couple of years and multiply that by that factor we came up with.
Right.
So,
So were they underestimating usage? Because, I mean, you would think that, I understand there's a difference in costs associated with the two departments, specifically fire and highway. Obviously, highway has a much larger use. But in terms of the dollar amount driving that increase, percentage-wise, you would think it would be identical. Whether it's,
you would think,
whether
right.
it's 20% of, 120% of $1,000 or 120% of $50,000. When you look at it, the
Should be
percentages,
the
the
same.
value will change, but the percentages won't.
Right. No, I understand what you're saying.
I was just wondering if you have an answer.
I don't. I don't have an answer to that. Because again, that's how we calculate, it was by the gallons used average over the last few years.
And
I don't.
I know, but there should be a,
I mean, I always, and Yeah, I mean, we'll look into it. That's why we're having the public
Yeah,
hearing.
I mean, the only way we can do it is to go back to the following year. So whatever happened, we'd have to go back into '21 to be able to see if the usage is dropping at fire, for instance, because we're using that usage number times the multiple, which is the fuel price, the estimated fuel price. And did DPW's use go up during that period because of an added vehicle, because of the weather? We don't know.
It averages out over 5 years. I mean, I've gone through this many times.
But just to
It
be
generally
specific to
averages
your
out.
question, I don't know what those numbers are.
Well, you
So-
should know when you go to estimate what the cost is gonna be, right?
Well, we did. We did know what 2022's numbers were, and then estimated that usage into 2023.
For both fire and,
Correct.
Yes.
okay. The one standard should be the percentage increase if it's based on fuel cost, regardless of usage. If you're comparing two sets of numbers that are using the same factor in terms of cost per gallon for diesel, the percentage increase should be the same for both. The percentage increase should be the same for both, because everything's relative to itself. So the only standard factor being between the two is the cost per gallon.
The only reason, at least my understanding, would be is the projected use was going to change.
There's no way that the fire department, believe me, I don't, and I'm not speaking for the fire department, nor do I have any knowledge directly of the fire department. There's no way, I don't think they can project what it is outside of what it was last year, the prior year, and have a median, an average. But they can't project that we're gonna have 20 more fires or 100 more ambulance calls. They just can't do that. So I think the average is pretty consistent from year to year. So
We'll
I
dive
think the
deep.
number, I'm just saying that, and I appreciate your comment, Chairman, that you look at it and see if the adjustment's needed. It's not a big dollar amount, but I'd like to be consistent from, especially when you're dealing with something as standard as fuel costs.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Colleen?
This is kind of a broader question. I hope you'll accept it. If not, tell me. When I looked at this past year's budget, we went with a default budget. It was about $237,000. The default budget was about $237,000 less than the proposed budget. And if I'm correct, I had heard that your surplus was about $300,000 at the end of the year.
Just
About 185,
180.
about 185, to be exact,
185
1,000,
now. That's what we have in the surplus.
22.
Or 22. But prior to,
The year-end
let me see
purchases.
if I can figure out what I'm trying to say. Prior to what was spent in December,
Year-end purchases?
says it again,
Year-end purchases?
right, was about 300,000, I don't know, Beth, 300,000?
260?
260. Okay, so my question is, what was it that was needed that the town did without by having the default budget when the difference was about the same as the surplus? Can you follow me on that? I just want to know what the town, where the town was hurting because we had a default budget. Because that's something that we deal with year after year, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So where was the pain for going with the default budget?
Lack of employees. Lack of employees.
Lack of employees. Anything else?
That's too big one off the top of my head. Okay.
We are falling below a pay scale that we can remain competitive with our neighboring towns to our employees. So we are struggling with trying to entice people to come to work here because neighboring towns have that flexibility for that, what doesn't seem like a lot of money, but that $1 or $2 an hour to get a good quality worker here. And I really personally, from my 10-month here on the board, is seeing that as the biggest erosion, the biggest need is to be able to hire the quality people we need to provide the services that everybody wants at that level. That will come back. It's sort of almost like a maintenance issue that will come back to haunt us. We can get another year out of the roof, but eventually it's going to create additional damage if we don't replace it.
And I mean, we all know, we're all feeling it with inflation, et cetera. The conversation's been had, in my tenure here, we can't compare other towns to Weare, because Weare is unique. And Weare is unique, 100%, I agree. The problem is the culture has changed as well. And employees, the lack of pool to begin with, and the culture has changed to the point of people will job hop for $1 or $2 an hour. They'll job hop. There's no, I mean, I say this, no, there is less tie to an employer than there ever has been.
That's globally.
And correct, and we're not exempt from that. But this is what I think Selectman Cahill was alluding to, is that it's imperative that we become competitive in the market in
Okay,
general.
so then let me jump to our budgets now, our proposed budget and default budget. Does it address that issue? So what I
starts
think
to.
what I'm trying to say is, if we go to a default budget, it continues that, I assume, is what you're saying. If we go to a proposed budget, do we get closer to solving that problem?
Closing the gap, yes. I would say so.
I would say not a complete resolution to the problem. It isn't built into the budget.
But it puts us a few
If it-
steps forward.
Yeah, it has to be done incrementally, because if we went with numbers to put us on par with neighboring towns, we would be seeing a 17 or 18% increase if we threw that out there. And that's not going to be palatable. So it's going to happen over a period of time. But we are falling behind. That is, I mean, as you know, payroll is one of our largest line items. So we are falling behind there.
Okay, so then if we look at the proposed budget.
Yep.
And we look at town office expenses, which is an increase of just under $20,000 between default and proposed. You're suggesting to me that that goes to wages or not?
It suggests to me that, as we have been discussing right along here for the last 10 months, is that what we've done it right here in Town Hall is through restructuring.
Town office.
Town office is, we have people multitasking, so we are doing more with less. And those people are being compensated for that, and that's why you see that in payroll. Does that answer your question?
I don't know that does. Let me just look down here. So, the same thing is true if you look at line I for Selectmen's office, that again, that would be for increased pay.
Retention,
Say what?
retention.
Or retention?
Yeah.
Same thing.
I mean, it goes hand in hand, yes. And I think that the chief wants to speak as well. He's over there fidgeting, trying to get up to the mic. But I think what he's gonna mention, and maybe I'll cut him off on this, is with the employment stuff, is that when, and I'll use his as an example, is that when officers are looking at Weare, what do they offer? And it's not just money, right? And,
There's no line.
am I going down the right path here? It's not just money. And he brought forward in his year of end purchases, the TASER replacement program, just use that as an example. If that candidate, viable or not, looks at it and says, well, they don't support the town doesn't support their equipment, the town doesn't do this, I hate to use the term, but it's the only one that come in my head right now, all the fringe benefits that come along with it, as far as equipping and everything else that goes along with that position, which the chief has tried to do with his budget. Again, I'm just using him because he's right in front of me. With his budget, which is a large increase of his, we're not going to attract employees to come in there. And at the end of the year, yes, it looks like we have a $260,000 surplus, but it's not. It's because we didn't fill positions.
So as I go through this again, when I see big increases, I can assume that it has to do with employees.
Not in its entirety.
Well, you know,
Probably the
don't-
majority of it would.
Okay,
And/or supporting the employees.
thank you.
Certainly support the employees and the work they're doing. Retention's important. However, you need to have some discipline, some structure. And we just can't knee-jerk react, give people money because they're threatening to leave or whatever. We need strong support for the employees to know that this is what we think this position is worth. We should do that. We shouldn't be just running around looking at other towns, because we don't know what the conditions are in those towns. I think you have to go pretty deep, I think, within the town to find out why the wages are higher than they are here. Could be benefits, could be other things, could be just culture, the way it just moves through the system. Selectmen earlier said we can't do it all in one fell swoop. We have to kind of look at it, but we had one at one time, a wage and salary review group that would go out and seek and solicit information. The thing I'm more concerned about is inconsistencies in how it's being applied. That really, some of these positions are very, very, very well paid. I've done some investigating just to check certain positions in New Hampshire, in government, in towns comparable to ours, what that position's worth, what they're paying. And there are some positions that are very highly paid in this town. And I just don't know how we got there. I don't know if it's a result of the work you've done, and because it really hasn't been mentioned at a public meeting. You haven't discussed it in public. Here, we've gone through this process, and this is where we are. And these are the salaries we're seeing in some of the other towns, and we need to make an adjustment. I don't hear it, and I wish you would tell us. And it happened at the last meeting. Information wasn't made available to us. So you start asking questions, you start digging, and you get defensive. So, if you're going to move in that direction and come up with equity in terms of pay scales, pays for different employees, you really need a good, sound structure that supports the pay that those individuals are getting for the job that they're doing, and then maybe see how that compares to some of the other towns. But we are, in a sense, unique. I think we're moving away from that, and I think we need something to support your movement in that direction more than just, I think somebody needs a raise because they're doing a good job. And I've heard that, and you've heard it. So just provide that information and do your due diligence before we start paying. And personally, we're not a small town anymore. We're over 9,000 people. I see pay increases that are going to be discussed later in the meeting for certain departments that I think are pretty exorbitant. I don't know how we got there, and I hope you have any answers to how we're getting to those percentages that reflect a sizable increase in pay. Thanks. And I don't think we can, personally, when it comes to the police department, I'm certainly not an expert in there, but I've been around long enough to see this. If anybody tells you we're all set, we're fully staffed, well, okay, wait a month.
Oh, absolutely.
So, we're probably down, we hired one. We were down two, got one. We're losing another one, possibly another one. So that's going to be a lot of turnover, and, are we going to support paying somebody what they're getting in Manchester to have them leave in a month? Because it's not a question of salary, like you kind of just, it might be a question of opportunity for the police officers. Basically, this organization's a vertical organization. There are not many branches coming off that organization to go into forensics or whatever else the other opportunities are in law enforcement. It's pretty much a straight line. And I think people are probably getting bored at some point and just want to move off. Obviously, I'm not an expert in it, and, certainly the chief should have more insight into why the reason. But, I too often hear it's pay. Well, it's a rabbit hole. We're never going to catch up
No,
to some of the other times.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
thanks.
Anybody else for the town budget?
Hi, Mike Fox, East Shore. I did have a question on the fuel. That was a big question, so I'm glad that that was brought up. You guys said that you did some research and studies on it. I quickly just brought it up, and this was from the U.S. Energy Information Administration as of today. It says, we forecast U.S. refining margins for diesel will fall by 20% in 2023, 38% in 2024. We expect retail diesel prices to average about $4.28 a gallon in 2023, down 16% from 2022. And in 2024, we expect prices to continue to fall and average near $3.70. Just pulled that up while we're in the meeting. I don't know where we get the 111. Or the increase of 155. Again, just asking from the town and just being smart with our money. Could we see what you guys found and how you came up with that number? Because that's a huge increase. Also on number 438 under the default, it says highway one-time purchase of $58,000. I didn't find that anywhere else. What was the one-time purchase of 58?
I believe that's the tools.
Those are tools.
For the which one?
Huh?
What is it?
It's for equipping the DPW facility with tooling.
58,000 in tools?
Yes.
Okay. And then a few lines down, 446, highway salt and sand. Why is the proposed 238 when 160? I mean, we aren't even having huge winters and ice storms and
So again,
whatnot. Is that something that you guys go out to bid on, or, I mean, where did you get that number?
So we use the state bid process with that. We have an average tonnage that we use every year, and the tonnage from, again, remember, it says 2022, but the budget number is actually from 2019. And from 2022, from 2021 to 2022, well, regardless, it went from $50 a ton approximately to over $70 a ton at the state bid price.
I think it's almost 79.
So it's almost $80 a ton. That's the increase,
And that was for 2022?
2022 to 2023.
But aren't those fuel surcharges that are being built into those bids, and those should be coming down?
I
Because,
don't,
I mean, I know you guys are getting from the state, but I get sand and salt from various different places around here, and their prices are actually coming down. So I don't understand how I see down here, but here it's up. I just was questioning how that works if I'm actually just jumping online and finding prices actually declining when we're adding quite a bit to our budget for that.
again, I don't know what their fuel surcharge is gonna change with the state. It's a contracted price that the state has solicited.
I mean, is that built into their price, the 78?
I would believe it is.
Right, so if prices are coming down, it should be, I mean,
I don't know that answer.
already, thank you.
So can I just?
Yeah.
So our increase that we're showing of about $78,000 is, we estimate the need for 3,000 tons of salt. And if you just take the difference between 79.24 and 49.50, which is what you budgeted for in 2019, comes out to $89,220 increase in just the cost alone
Right.
for the per ton charge.
Okay. Frank?
I have a question about a specific line in the budget, and unfortunately, the folks here don't have this printout so I can ask a question about a specific line. Okay. Police Department,
Can you give us that number, Frank?
oh,
It's the easiest way for us to find it.
page 5.
Okay.
I think the numbers are still the same, page numbers are still the same.
Yeah, not the page number, but the line number.
Oh, well, I haven't got to that yet.
Okay, okay,
I thought I'd do Police Department, get you headed in that direction first.
okay.
We're there.
We're there.
Okay, first line, 235 Police Chief salary.
Yep.
In the past, I have 2021, similar, specific line by line. And I have, well, this is also 21, different parts of the year. But in that line specifically, in the few years past, there was a $1,500 difference in the police chief's salary. All right, it was an increase. And as noted, the column reasons for decrease or increase, increase, decrease. It was a raise per Board of Selectmen. Okay, and that's also indicated in the latest printout. I'm sorry, it's not indicated. It's now pay increase per Board of Selectmen, education incentive.
That's what it always was.
Okay, well, I have two printouts here. It never was. It was never I just read to you, all it was raised per Board of Selectmen. Now it's education incentive.
It was education
So-
incentive. I remember voting on it.
Okay, so I guess my question is, was that discussed at a public board level? Public meeting for the board level,
That was,
discussion?
that was what?
Performance evaluation.
That was 2 years?
That was my first year.
Right.
19.
Was it?
19.
19. It was 2019 that was given.
It was a
No.
discrepancy under which I was hired that we
Right.
corrected.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We started in
It was
19.
2020,
Well-
excuse me.
I mean, Beth is pretty good at it. And her just reasons. I'm not questioning what you're telling me, all right? But if I didn't see education incentive back in 2000, well, this was for the 22, and this was the year before.
21.
Now all of a sudden I see it. So I guess my question is, I'll believe what you say. If it's an education incentive, because the contract that the police are ending, they had education incentives also as a separate line, if you look at the older town reports,
Okay.
all right? That at one time, that was rolled into their pay.
Okay.
All right, it does not appear as I think it was like $1,500. It does not appear as a separate line if you look at the schedule in the town reports.
Okay.
So now what happens to that, being that it's rolled into their pay, all right, that extra $1,500, if I'm correct with the number, all right, that goes to add to their overtime, vacation time, it goes into their salary, and it bumps everything up, so it increases the budget. So it's going to be the same thing here, an education incentive. And my question is, along with that, is who verifies what he has for education? Does he go to a conference, does he bring back, a receipt, an invoice?
Show you a copy of my master's degree.
Does
That's what it's
does
for.
he, I appreciate that, but I'm asking the board, if Selectman Hippler,
that's a reference to me,
if Selectman Hippler wants you to answer, that's perfectly what should be done. So I would request that, to be respectful.
Yep.
To be respectful to the board,
Appreciate that.
Yeah,
okay?
I appreciate it.
I'm being that.
Yep.
Okay, so again, I asked, do
I-
you get confirmation that he's taking a course?
Yep, we did.
And that's available to see an invoice at some point in time to say?
Well, the board didn't purchase it. He did it on his own.
Right, but it's through taxpayers' money.
That he,
So,
that he didn't obtain the degree on our dime. He has a degree.
Okay.
And I just want to make
I don't
a
want to
line.
confuse.
No, but I just want to make a line, is I understand what you were saying about then the town has to pay for the overtime, et cetera. The chief is a salaried employee.
I get that, but I'm,
So I understand where you were going with, again, it furthers.
included.
Right.
Yes,
Right.
right, yes.
But that could change with the officer depending on overtime, et cetera. So, yeah, I understand that. I just want to make the clarification that the chief is salaried, it's a fixed number, versus a variable number potentially with an officer that receives the same thing.
You're absolutely correct.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
But in regard specific to the education incentive for the chief, how does one, whether it's the board or someone like me or anybody else, how does one verify that 1,500, lost my place.
$1,583?
1,589
Yep.
has gone to education and not just into his pay?
I can't answer your question.
I guess,
I think we're talking oranges and apples.
yeah, I don't,
So,
Okay.
after he started, there's, in the collective bargaining, there's called education incentive. Based on associate's degree is 24 cents an hour, bachelor's degree is 48 cents, and a master's degree or a law degree is 72 cents. Chief Moore has a master's degree, so if you take 2,080 hours roughly in a year times 72 cents for the master's degree that he has.
Okay.
1583.
That's why that was obtained.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay, so
So it's
so
not-
it's not an education, it's not an education.
Well, it's called education
I mean,
incentive,
it's not a,
It's not a rolling, it's not a tuition reimbursement. I don't know if that's,
Yeah, maybe that's
right,
what's
that's where,
confusing.
that's where I
Yeah.
was just headed.
yeah, it's not tuition reimbursement, no,
Okay.
no. And I'm sure if you
So,
want,
so it's really, in a sense, it's a bonus because of what he has for
Well, it's based on the
degrees.
incentive of education.
yeah. And I'm
'Cause
sure
we
if you
haven't-
wanted to see the degree, he'd show it to you on his wall in his office.
No, I don't want to see it, thank you.
Yeah, Frank, I think
don't
it's
need to see
more-
a plaque on the wall. I just want to be confident that the selectmen aren't, you know, if it was my perception of an incentive, all right, to go on to education. And my other question is, I mean, he's, you know, he seems to be a police chief that's well-versed enough, you know, what does he go for other courses, you know, that isn't available for
Well, I mean,
him.
there's a line in the police budget for education.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
or seminars, I should say, but
All
yeah,
right.
so,
Okay,
okay.
all right, thanks.
Thanks, Frank. Anyone else? Tom?
Tom Flaherty, Sunrise Lane, asking some questions as a private citizen. These are just, they're all questions, so. And health insurance went up a lot, this seems to be going up a lot this year. Are we taking part in a pool program from the state? Do you know which one it is?
We're part of Health Trust.
Or a Prior Health Trust.
Okay, thanks. Second question is sand and salt. Did you adjust for the year-end purchase of sand and salt that was made, or?
I believe that we did not. I thought we did this year, no? That's right, we just filled the barn, right?
Yeah.
That's all we did, yeah.
We spent 36,000 year-end, I think, was it roughly?
Was it that much? I don't think it was. How much? 33, yeah.
Okay, so is that something, my suggestion is maybe that's something you could look at, I don't know what the reduction would be, but since we just did buy some, which I think was a good move, because if the price is gonna go up, you got it at a current price, and yet, you know. And then the other thing is, I would just, not question, this is a statement, I would just recommend, based upon comments I've heard, that, and I don't know what the difference would be, but the diesel at $7, I know you come down from $7.50. I would just think about maybe coming down a little bit more. I don't know what the difference would be. I just, one thing I know the need for the, to get the proposed budget passed because of the defaults for a couple of years. I'm just worried that if a lot of people see 8.8%, they're gonna get a little freaked out. And I would just, if there's any, there's a lot of little things here that are making it add up. There's a few big things too, but most of them seem unavoidable, but
Okay.
Just some thoughts and some reductions that could be a little more palatable for people.
Okay.
Because I get the different, I get why you need the proposed budget.
Okay, appreciate it, Tom.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Anybody else? Okay, we'll move on to the next article, which is the collective bargaining agreement with the police department members, excluding the police chief. He is not in the union. And it is for a one-year collective bargaining agreement with the NEPBA. And then the increase represented for fiscal year 2023 is $67,805.
You want to just tell us what the percentage is? That's what the question is.
Yeah, we can do that. So, the,
See?
took away his thunder. So the percentage across the board for the officers, at, again, and it was Selectman Cahill and Selectman Burdick that did the negotiations? Yeah, with the police union, and the final number was, there was some small changes along the way with grammatical and just some operation stuff the chief had brought up. But the monetary was 8% for year 2023, until
April 1st of 20.
24, right? Until April 1st of 24. And then there was another step too, right?
No.
Okay, excuse me, I'm out of line, okay. So it was 8%. Mm-hmm. Frank?
Everybody else is waiting. Or looking alive. Well, being that I am uninformed, can you just briefly say any other types of benefits that are in there? Vacation time, sick days, overtime, anything like that?
They all stayed the same, didn't they?
It's
No, we added comp time, right?
not going to change your pay.
It's not gonna change the pay, but, yeah, it's not gonna change the pay. We did add 27 hours of comp time available for them, but it's not gonna change the end dollar number.
Okay.
What
Well,
else?
and show my ignorance, the comp time is time that they
Worked.
get a day,
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
no, that's okay.
So the
I'm not
con-
offended by you interrupting me.
So comp time is, just like DPW, is you can save 27 hours of overtime,
Yeah,
and that 27 hours of overtime converted at time and a half gives you 40.5 hours of regular time to take off. So
Okay.
instead of paying them at time and a half, they get another week they
they
can
get
have
a
off.
time off. right.
So they were gonna either pay for it, we would pay for it, or they'd get another week.
Right.
So-
There's accrued
So it's
time.
already, it's there, it's just time away, they'll get regular time for
And
it.
it's not a rolling bucket, it's 27 and a half, and that's it.
It's a one time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, is that, I know there was a couple of instances this year, is that like the non-union folks? They have to use it within the year or lose it?
Well,
I think
Yeah, we'll
that's.
try
what-
to have them use it first, because then you don't forget it.
Yeah,
It's meant to be used that way. I don't know
Okay.
that I can take it from you, because you already worked it.
right,
But we try to get you to use it first.
okay.
Yes.
So if they don't use it in the particular year, does it roll over to,
We
In
we try
addition-
not to, but I can't.
how successful is that
There's-
to try not
There's
to?
Most of the
there's
time, it's
special
pretty
exceptions
successful.
to that, because we've actually done.
Well, so you've rolled over vacation time because of the short staffing, not everybody was entitled to use it.
Okay.
And in the personnel policy, you're required to you can only carry over 1.5 times of what you can accrue.
Okay,
So if you can accrue up to 360 hours, and you didn't quite get below 360, but you were short,
yeah,
then you can request from the board by the end of the year to carry over those few days. And we had two people
Well,
carry over.
yeah, that's what I was alluding to, right,
We had two people carry over days
yeah.
because they were by themselves and couldn't take a day off or shut
Right,
the
I know
office.
that
Yeah.
one specifically, right.
Right.
Was manning the office alone.
Correct.
Right. So, and that I perfectly understand. You know, the other one was questionable in my mind because we had good weather and all, and, maybe that department could have spared him, for.
Yeah, the
I
other
think it
department
was
is hard
20.
because you never know when it's gonna snow.
Yeah,
So
but
if you wait and
we
hold
had-
your vacation time till Thanksgiving, you may never get it.
Yeah, okay,
If it snowed every Thanksgiving, or for the whole month of November, December.
okay. All right, I think I'm satisfied. Thanks again.
Thanks, Frank.
Hopefully this will help with the next meeting.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Don't count on it.
No, I'm not.
Okay. So what does this pay raise, what's the average cost? What's the average pay for? I know there are other things that are, level the person is at and maybe education that they
Right.
have.
Okay.
Those types of things.
Is it,
Average hourly? Is that what you're asking?
No, yearly. What's,
the,
an $80,000 person?
No, the lieutenant's the only one up in the 80s. Most of the sergeants are mid-70s. Corporal Muse is just below that. The officers, off the top of my head, are anywhere from 48 to 65,
Okay.
roughly.
All right, yeah,
That's all.
no, I absolutely understand that, yeah, nothing I will hold you to, so, okay, thanks again.
anybody else for the CBA article? Yep, that's chief, that's fine, yep.
Just a little stats I threw together. I came here in June of 2019. Just looked, I keep the ID cards of everybody who left the department, and this is just the full-time sworn personnel since I've been here. Beltate, Nashua PD went for pay and benefits. Hunter, Antrim PD, pay and benefits. Hatch, Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, benefits, not pay. Severia changed careers. Ouellette went to Bow PD, paid benefits and job opportunity. He was going for SRO position, so that does come up. Weed changed careers. Lewis injured in the line of duty, had to retire medically. Charest, while he's still a part-timer here, he was full-time. He changed careers. That's why he's no longer full-time. George, Manchester PD, pay and benefits. Two are pending. Sergeant McGuire, he's going to the Merrimack County Sheriff's Office in a couple weeks. Benefits, not pay. And Gilmet, Manchester PD, pay and benefits. What I looked at next is what it costs to train somebody as a brand-new officer. This is actually the minimum investment that the town pays. So for a new officer going to the 16-week academy, we do a 16-week FTO program. The FTO training the person gets a supplement, and if anybody wants to know, they get 1 hour a day overtime for training the person. Then the uniforms and equipment, the total cost of that is $67,622.70 minimum. And this article is for $67,805. We're losing one officer every 3.8 months since I've been here. That's not sustainable in today's culture. I'm just letting you know. Part of my presentation to the Finance Committee is the town has to compete for people. We don't do a good job of it. I tell it like it is. I don't mince words. That's what it is. That's where we're at. If anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer. And I will say this too. Sergeant McGuire's leaving was a total surprise. That's somebody who graduated from John Stark, spent 4 years as a police explorer, and then has been on the department for 9 years. We plan on him being here for his entire career. We kind of got word, but we couldn't figure out somebody was leaving. We never would have guessed him. We were guessing 3 other people who we think are on the fence about leaving. So this department might be, it's borderline, very borderline, just putting that out.
Well, for whatever reason, I don't think we can compete with all the other departments. Manchester, Nashua, come on, it's going to be tough. But I just wanted to point out, thanks to the finance administrator, that the $67,000 increase for on that warrant article, and it's stated in here, includes benefits, and the actual increase, or pay increase to the officers is somewhere around $44,000. The balance goes into benefits and salary, so it's...
Benefits, retirement, et cetera.
Yeah, so, that's a big chunk of that, but again, it's not 67,000, which I tried to do, divided
payroll.
amongst all the officers, and came out to like a 25% increase, but
No.
it ain't, something less than that.
Nope.
Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you for that. Appreciate that.
And that was a good point. We're not gonna compete with Nashua. Just throughout what Nashua's doing, you heard me mention the lieutenant's the only one in the 80,000. Two-year officer, guy with 2 years' experience could go to Nashua. He starts low 80s. Within 3 years, he's over 90. We're not gonna compete with that. And none of the guys on the department expect to compete with that. We're just trying to compete with our surrounding towns. That's it.
Anybody else for the CBA? Okay, we'll go to the non-union raise pool, which
So mine has a blank.
mine has a blank too. This board does not discuss. Go ahead.
There is a number.
Is
on
this
the
the
back.
CBA or the raises?
CBA, that kind of affects both. That number that's in there is an annual amount, isn't it? Because typically you go 9 months, balance of the year, it goes into effect beginning of April. But that number that's there is a 12-month number. Is that correct?
I would think, yes, that is a number.
We'll verify.
Yep.
All right, because normally it's,
It's 12 months, excuse me. Finance Administrator, 12 months. Thank you. So the board has not discussed about non-union raise pool yet
On the back sheet.
on the back sheet.
Nope, your little handout. There's a number thrown in there, whether you like it. I mean, you guys can change it. Very last, no, one back. No, front of the graph, keep going, right there. Left hand. Says article number 8.
No, I think it's a discussion we need to have.
Okay.
What's being referenced is in the municipal budget worksheet. There was a number put in there of 5% for non-union employees for a total of $98,225, but this board has not discussed that as of yet. So. We'll take any comment, but we haven't discussed it.
I just thought of something. When someone leaves, whether it's from the police department, fire department, town offices, is there an exit meeting with the selectmen?
If they wish.
If
they wish
If
to
they're
have it.
willing, if they're willing.
When each one is asked, so that we know that
Yes.
it might be pay plus something else?
Not everyone was asked.
Not everyone.
Just,
You're right.
not everyone was
All right,
asked.
yeah, I guess not everyone's asked. I thought we were.
Okay.
I thought we were,
Okay.
excuse me.
Does everyone have the opportunity? Yes. And there have been cases that people have been requested, and they say yes or no to that exit interview, because we want that feedback.
And if
I
they,
think
and if they
there's-
ever ask for a meeting, we would definitely oblige.
Okay, so I guess what I'm leading to is, I understand the pay component, the benefits, but are there other things that are coming up that can be addressed and we can improve on to make people happier to stay besides pay? I don't expect
Let
an
me think,
answer.
let me think on
I
it,
don't-
but, okay.
But that's something that I would.
You sparked a thought.
Okay.
so, I understand the board hasn't discussed this, it's a 5% increase. That was based on, do you have any idea what that's based on? It's typically 3, it has been previously. It's also tied in the cost of living.
Correct.
Cost of living increase is 8.7%. Why isn't it 8.7%? And, you
Yeah, we just haven't, we haven't had the discussion yet. Right. I don't disagree with you, and thank you for the statement.
Well, I'd rather it be 3%, but yeah.
I understand that. Yeah. 2.5? Okay. So, again, this is the first, Frank, go ahead. Oh, this is, again, this is first round, as Mr. Campanis alluded to. So, again, and with just like the rental ordinance, you know, we're taking your feedback, jotting notes, and we'll be back again.
Okay, as a suggestion and really a request on this article specifically, the wording, all right? It's been a pet peeve of mine, some of it's been rectified. This will only be
9 months.
for 9 months.
9 months.
I think somewhere, maybe not necessarily in the article, but either the Finance Committee, well, the Board of Selectmen should be made known. Actually, it probably can be in the article. I have the warrant from last year, 22,
I do too.
okay? And a couple after that, too.
I've got a couple after that too, yeah. I think all the way back when I started.
I'll give you the example. It happened to be Article 5. It was to raise and appropriate a sum of money to cover increase for library staff, $1. This represents wage, payroll, I don't know if it says that there, but wages, payroll, taxes, New Hampshire system. But my point, if approved, this addition would become part of the annual budget with an estimated annual cost, and it's listed in the article. And the same is for Article 7, which is for the fire department. All right? The annual, this addition would become part of the annual operating budget with an estimated annual cost. So I would, request of the board to, be more upfront to tell the people, and apparently it can go in the article. Okay, thanks.
Frank?
Well, actually, let me, if you'd entertain this. I expect to hear probably at by the deliberative session, if not tonight, the comparison to the non-union pay raises, the dollar amount or the percentage amount. Somebody's going to say, well, Social Security is 8.7%, all right? Maybe that's what the police department modeled it after. I'm not sure. Seems pretty close. So you have to keep, I have to keep in mind that from 2017 to 23, the anticipated, the non-union people, actually, Social Security was less than 3%, 2%, 2.8, 1.6, 1.3. Year before last was 5.9, and as it stated this year, 8.7. Okay, so the folks on Social Security, and through those years, through most of those latter years, the non-union folks were getting 3%, and it was modeled after the 3% of the last
bargaining.
Collective bargaining, right. So the government had, again, I asked my wife to do it for me, she looked it up. The average yearly Social Security payment is a little over $20,000. So at the 8%, that's going to give that person $1,620 for the year. So people want to make comparisons in the past to Social Security. They may want to do it now, but that's quite a bite. Somebody making an extra $1,600, it's already spent, plus what families have to incur for, all families have to incur for inflation costs. So, okay, so, but I'd like you to, consider using those words. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks again. Thanks again.
Yeah. Dick?
Yeah, I want to, since the Pats are out of it, I'd pull it for Tom Brady, so I'd like to get home to watch them tonight.
You got 5 minutes.
Yeah,
Game kickoff is 8:15.
I got my phone, I could probably watch it.
I got mine taping.
I was always told, as a selectman, by DRA, that the appropriation on a warrant article is for that fiscal year. So I don't know, I don't see how we can put an amount on a warrant article for 12 months, when the reality is it's only for 9 months. I can see an explanation put in, which has been done in the past. It's never been changed to the full 12-month because it's only a 9-month fiscal obligation. Our fiscal year ends at the end of December. So I'm thinking maybe that the article for the police department should be 9 months, and then an explanation, if you so desire, to indicate what the annual amount is,
Yeah.
as an addendum.
Thank you.
Okay. No one else? Move on to the fire department pagers. $15,000 to replace 25 aging pagers and chargers. For fire department call personnel, said funds to come from the vehicle and equipment special revenue fund, zero tax impact. Anybody? Frank? No? You good? Okay. Ah. Okay. No comments, we'll go to the next one. Fire department utility vehicle, $105,000 to replace the utility truck, which is currently an 2003 F-350. Again, money to come from the fire department equipment and vehicle special revenue fund, tax impact zero. Anybody? You want to say something? No? Okay. All right, move on to the next one.
I do want to say something. Bye.
No? No. If you want to exit, you're good. Next one is the police cruiser, $78,010 for one fully equipped frontline police cruiser. This would replace a vehicle that is already retired. Comments, concerns?
Isn't this part of the regular rotation anyway we were doing?
It's going to the front line,
Yeah, so it would go to the front line, so yes.
but we wouldn't be getting rid of a vehicle.
Say what?
We wouldn't get rid of a vehicle because we're already one short.
Yeah, but the projection was to have a particular rotation, right?
Yes.
1 a year.
And this is part of that?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to the 10-wheel dump truck for $260,000 to be added to the Highway Truck and Equipment Capital Reserve Fund for the purpose of a fully equipped 10-wheel plow truck. Tom?
I'm looking at the two articles, consecutive articles, and I have an issue with that because I think that what you're going to end up with is nothing. Some people will vote for one, some people will vote for the other, and won't get a truck at all. So I certainly would be in favor of a dump truck, but this has happened, I think it was just last year. One truck was paid for through the fund balance, and the other one was put on with the tax impact. So of course, everybody voted for the one that, not everybody, but the majority of people voted for the one that seemed like it would cost nothing because it was coming from fund balance. And the truck that had the actual cost attached to the tax bill failed. So I think what you're doing here is setting it up for not getting a truck at all, because it's just, most people probably aren't going to vote yes on both of them. And again, it's just speculation. But I think we've gone through that at least 2 other times where there were 2 separate articles, and it didn't work out. So whether you, I would say, in my opinion, you're almost assured that you're not going to get one. So I would say either put them both in one article if you think you have to have 2 trucks, and maybe offset it somewhat with some kind of a carrot for the fund balance to get the 2 trucks, but, or just go with the 1 truck. But I think this is setting yourself up for not getting one. So,
Thank you, Tom.
It's a good point, Tom, thanks.
Right?
Somewhat pick up what Tom said about offsetting an article. I'm a little different school of thought, but I guess I could live with it. You had year-end surplus, and it was, you spent a portion of it, and I don't know, I think the question was asked tonight, how much was the balance of the year-end surplus? I know at your meeting, the question was asked by Selectman Osborne when you were discussing it at the meeting, particular meeting. It was estimated at $260,000, the total that you'd have. Whether it ended up with that, again, it was an estimate. I understand that. So I actually used the 260, and I deducted what you, again, thank Beth for the information. You spent, you purchased or invoiced 132 plus, and it left him about 127,000 left over. So was there any discussion to use that money or some other surplus money to offset the cost of a truck?
There was,
As was done last year,
there was not.
okay? Was there any particular reason, or? No?
No, there was not, but there is going to be conversation about these two articles
Okay.
at the board level.
Okay. Well, personally, I think it's a disservice to combine them, give somebody, taxpayers an actual chance, instead of all or nothing, So in same relation to offsetting, the Selectmen's agenda of September 26, you folks, well, the state gave you highway block grant money, and bridge aid. So I'm keying in on the block grant money. It was $239,000, and you voted to accept both of them. Fine. And I asked that particular night if any of that block grant money could be used to buy equipment. And the answer from Naomi, and correct me, was, I think she read actually the, what was allowed and not. And the answer was yes, they could buy equipment. So there was another, it wouldn't have covered the truck, and you may want to keep some for, some for the, for the highway, all right? But you could certainly cover a good portion.
You've been reading my notes?
Pardon me?
You've been reading my notes?
Yeah, you never know.
Because that's the discussion I want to have later, literally.
Tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, gee, you're gonna keep me long enough because of your change of public comment. So I'm gonna have to make a public comment if you allow it. So anyway, there must be some money there to offset one of the trucks. And then be pretty much a guarantee of getting that one anyway.
That was part of the
Okay.
conversation I wanted to have.
Okay, I'm all set then. Thanks again.
Thank you, Frank. Anybody else? You want to say anything?
I know there's two trucks there. I know it is it's a pretty big pill to swallow, the two prices there, but the highway department is in desperate need of a couple new vehicles. I and my mechanic do take pretty good care of them as best as we can. We make sure they're safe for the road, but just the bodies, they get rusted. Obviously, we're all in salt everywhere. They just don't last 20 years.
No.
And they can't. The previous idea was to get them on essentially a 11-year rotation, and that's just about the end of life. We take a $260,000 truck, and by the time we trade it in, it's worth $3,000 to the dealer. So with that.
Okay. Thank you, Jason.
Yep.
The second truck, again, we're having conversation on it later, so. Okay. Road reconstruction, $640,000. We anticipate $283,965 to come from the state in the highway block grant per RSA 235, which would mean the remaining balance of approximately $356,035 will be raised by taxation and added to the previously established road reconstruction capital reserve fund. Don't see anything. Oh.
Good evening, Janice Matthews, Woodbury Road, and I'm here as a private citizen this evening also. The terms of the highway block grant, what are those? Is it a matching grant? Is it something that is?
It's a grant that the state, I don't want to say gives away, but per capita, per road miles, they figure out
From the gas tax.
there's a formula from the gas, yeah, it's
So
funded
it's
from the gas
not a
tax.
matching grant? So
No,
if we-
no,
if
they,
we-
they supply
this
the
article
community
gets
based on the
defeated, we
miles of the
still,
gas tax.
I'm sorry, go.
Oh, I didn't mean to do that.
If the article gets defeated, we still can have an opportunity to get the money from the state.
The
Yeah.
The
283,000, yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you add the 356 that we're going to raise by taxation to the road construction capital reserve fund, that's over $500,000.
640,000.
Do we need that much money in our road fund?
She's looking at the back page here.
Yeah, there's 156K in your road
Flip to your very
reconstruction
last-
capital reserve
She's
fund.
already, flip to
Oh,
the very last
I'm
page.
sorry.
Yep.
Okay. I'm here. This one. Aha.
It's 513K. What is the town getting for 513K? How many miles of red road are going to be rehabilitated? Yellow roads rehabilitated? Green roads kept up to date? What are we getting for that?
I believe that what you're referencing, the red, green, yellow, that
I'm
was.
assuming you have some kind of grading scale on your roads.
Yeah, and that
On our
was done by Jack Dearborn and the former DPW director, is they graded all the roads as far as with a red, green, and a
Yeah,
yellow
I'm
tag.
assuming you still have something that says
Yes.
this is the worst
Yeah,
road, this
there's
is an
I'm
okay
su-
road.
I'm sure Jason has a rolling tally of statuses as they go. I don't know exactly what is on this year's chop and block, I'll call it, for roads. I know we did the mountain last year. Got a few overlays we gotta do, but you could probably allude to more detail. So, yeah,
I don't have anything in front of me on exactly what.
okay.
Benji had a nice plan put together. I've been a little busy between mechanicking and all that stuff to
Yeah.
get really into the road stuff right at the moment and what we're doing. But I know we do have overlays on roads we're doing. We are planning on grinding at least one,
Okay.
repaving, some more chip seal.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay,
general maintenance.
all right, very good.
Follow-up, is the spend profile over 500K for the year?
I don't know.
I don't know if it's that much.
You won't know what pavement is either.
Right.
We put the pavement out to bid and we don't know what that is.
Right.
We can look at what it was last year.
Now, there was also discussion that the town administrator and I had this afternoon, there's gonna be discussion amongst the board, about this particular line and the bridge fund on other projects we have going on, as far as the River Road Bridge patch and, the Low Road Culvert. So some of these funds are gonna be used for those as well. So more than likely, I can probably say in confidence that at least 550 of it is gonna go to road reconstruction, because remember that the gravel road maintenance comes out of there. There's also some other stuff that comes out of there along the year, so. Last year, I think we figured it out that the 550 might get you a mile and a half, 2 miles of complete,
It's not much more than that.
It's,
Of-
yeah,
of-
it's not
of-
more than two.
of complete,
Right.
dig it up, rebed it,
Right.
construction. So, it's not very much in the big scheme of it.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Frank?
Not a complicated question. Again, I'm referring to last year's warrant. The first, the first of two trucks that were asked for. The first one, it was purchased haven't got it yet, but it was funded through unreserved fund balance. Okay, it was funded totally through. My question is, I know, and the second one was to be to go into the capital reserve fund, the dollar amount. So the first one, how is he accounting for that money? Because it's not, it can't be, if you look at the list of capital reserve funds, that 260 is not in there, and apparently it shouldn't be in there.
Okay, you're talking about trucks, right?
Yeah.
Because we had moved on to the road bond.
Oh,
I mean, to the road reconstruction. That's why I'm looking, I'm like,
Oh,
260,
okay.
I think he's talking about
Well,
the,
somebody should have caught me earlier.
I'm like, I think he's talking about the trucks.
Yeah, I was.
But-
Okay.
Okay.
So
Thanks, Frank.
maybe I'll ask it under public comment.
Okay.
I
Anybody?
apologize.
No, no problem. Anybody else for road reconstruction? Okay, go to the next one. It's a new capital reserve fund for the tennis court replacement. The park committee made a presentation to the board about the tennis courts and their failing condition. There was for a better term, a repair made to it last year, or was it this year?
This year.
This year.
Well.
It was scheduled for last year.
was
Yeah, I was gonna
for-
say, it's scheduled for last year, but it was done this year. And the longevity of the tennis courts, behind the library and Legion is short. That was donated to us in the 80s, early 80s. Huh?
I think it's 86.
86. And basically, the recommendation was to rehab it. I mean, we have multiple use up there, pickleball uses it, et cetera. So this is to start the 20,000 for planning and to start to put towards the funds for that
They're looking at
replacement.
5 years out, I think.
Yeah, it's a 5-year plan. This is year 1.
Just a question. For the replacement, so I'm assuming brand new when we get that far. Is there any thought about placing it somewhere other than where the present tennis courts are, like at Bolton Field?
There was discussion of that amongst the park board. There was, and I don't know, I'm thinking that they said it was
I don't think it's out of the question.
It's not out of the question,
This
but-
is step 1 out of 5.
correct. And this is I'm sure they'd be talking more about feasibility. But there was a lot of talk about bringing it up to 2023 compliance as far as ADA, facilities, lights, et cetera. So there's a whole, I don't say ideas, but there's a lot of
Okay.
insight needs to go into it first.
Because there's often a parking issue there?
Yes.
So it's more complex?
It's possible.
So this is just a start of something that they want to do 5 years from now. So every year, we should see this,
Like the bridge fund that we
we should
had.
see this on there. Thank you.
I think they're really pigeonholing themselves on this because it's very specific. I've never seen an article like this in my life. You know, it's around the corner, down the street, next to the library. It's too, they're tying themselves up to that one location. And, you know, we purchased land for basically for mining through the Conservation Commission a number of years ago, the Schmidt property. And we set aside, in agreement with the Conservation Committee, set aside several acres for recreational development. And I understand I believe there was some brief discussion that it might cost more, but they're probably going to have to tear that thing down. I mean, I got all sorts of situations there that I think are not, you know, really don't lend itself to developing that area. It's a cramped area, it's parking is a problem, the access for handicap may be an issue if they decide to get some grant. I'm not objecting to it, but I think it should end after facility somewhere on here. No, sorry. Yeah, a recreational court facility. You don't need to say it's located in Weare, I don't think. It's next to, it's on Page Memorial Lane, next to the library. That's a
That's
little
if you
bit too
wanna
much.
come for it.
And I would suggest as well that you don't restrict it just replacement, maybe replacement/development or something to that effect, where it broadens the scope a little bit, so you have some flexibility. The other thing, it's 5 years from now. You know, it's under these conditions, you know, you can't predict what's gonna happen a year from now, but 5 years from now, maybe the International Pickleball Association is gonna give us a
Never know.
$50,000
There is,
grant to develop
ESPN.
pickleball courts.
Yeah.
And you might not want to use that facility, that area, you might want to move someplace else. So I'm just,
Okay.
make it more general and take out the directions.
Point taken. Thank you. Who else? Tom?
First, I'd like to agree with what Dick said about the wording, but there's another reason too, and that is that there is an ongoing discussion of, in addition to the library, and one of the pieces of that is parking. So, you know, if the thought process could be combined as far as creating a better new tennis court and expanding the parking, because the drawings that have been presented so far take up a good chunk of space on the library lot, not counting parking. So it would be a plus if that area where the tennis court is was somehow available for additional parking at the library. And again, we're down the road quite a ways on that, but it is discussion, it's underway. We've had 2 public meetings on it already, and that should be in the back of everybody's mind, because in my humble opinion, eventually it's going to happen. The whole purpose of libraries is changing. They need more space for different things than just the stacks of books. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a comment related to the Parks and Rec. A big part of the master plan that a town is supposed to develop is Parks and Rec strategy. I would urge this board to consider updating your 18-year-old master plan and making sure that a comprehensive strategy for Parks and Rec and recreational activities and facilities is in that plan.
Thank you. Frank?
If this is a 5-year plan at $100,000, again, we know things going to change 5 years from now, is there a way similar to the bridge bond money? You know, it was clearly explained we're going to we're going to spend, I even forgot the amount, $50,000 for X amount of years, or $100,000. I think it was $100,000 for 4 years. Is there a way to include that? Again, just giving a little bit more information that might not be, you know, readily available, to see if there's a way to include that type of language in the article itself.
This is like installment 1 of 5.
Right.
Okay.
The beginning of, you know,
But
yeah.
that's,
Just as a
that's not
clarification,
5.
It's not, no.
yeah, as a clarification,
The whole thing is about $200,000.
Well, that's what I thought I heard her say.
But
They're looking at 20 to start for surveying the area to make sure that
to get a firm number,
to get a firm numbers, whether it will even fit there.
yeah, and if I misspoke, I apologize, but yeah, the outlook is to have this completed in 5 years.
But they're also looking at some grants
There's
elsewhere.
grants available,
And-
et cetera.
And I heard her say that night
Yeah.
also.
Yeah.
right.
Okay, well, somewhere, either in the mailer, they're probably too complicated in this, so
Yeah.
maybe the finance committee will, you know, put that out there, that's you know, intended to be a beginning start for $200,000, anticipated $200,000.
Yep, okay, thank you. Who else? We go on to the new revolving fund for parks. They're looking to take the to make a revolving fund for maintenance-related funding from the gate fees at Chase Park. You're taking 100% of the collected monetary, and this year it was gonna be 70, what was the fund, 7,200? I think it was this year that they collected,
I think it was 35.
3,500?
Yes. Yeah, down from 12.
Yeah, significantly down, I know that. In years past, it was higher, but this year it wasn't a lot of money. Tom?
You actually hit up on what I was going to suggest for the article in some way, because when it says 100% of revenues, to let people know that it's not that big a loss to the general fund, because the actual amount brought in is I won't say it's not significant, but it certainly isn't something that's going to change the tax bill very much. For, when you're talking, I thought I heard something like $14,000 was an average, but that might be wrong, but.
In years past, but I think it's gone down.
Yeah, in one of the meetings here, that was brought up. I think that was a high. So it's not like $100,000 taken out of revenues. It's a fairly small amount, and it will save on taxes that won't have to be spent on things related to Chase Park.
Exactly.
So-
Yeah, it's a good point, and I actually have seen another version of this. So, which it addresses some of what you spoke to. At some point, somewheres through an email, somewheres along the line, I think they already have considered that, but that's a good point, Tom. I do think it reads, it's ambiguous. What is that number, right? Besides 100%.
Unfortunately, this article, as written, is illegal. They reference an RSA 31:95-H. 31:95-H addresses revolving funds, but it's limited to one of the following purposes: recycling, ambulance services, public safety, creating affordable housing, providing cable access for public education, financing of energy conservation, and facilitating transactions relative to municipal group net metering. I got the wrong RSA list. There is an RSA that deals specifically with this, and it's RSA 35-B:2, which is specific to revolving funds for recreational development. I'll give you copies of this. I also have a copy of a kind of a warrant article from Stratum dated.
None of these have gone to council.
Yeah.
Huh?
None of these have gone to town council yet.
Yeah, well, okay, good luck with that.
Okay. Just turn it off.
But anyway, yeah, I'll give you this information. It just, it won't fly. The other thing, it's up to the town to determine what restrictions you may want to place on this. And, well, people may not like this. They're agents to expend. I mean, you could be talking about significant dollars in that account. Not that they're, going to abuse it, but I would think it would, maybe the town administrator, Board of Selectmen would be agents to expend. Some towns limit it. Anything over $500 would be required board level.
Okay.
It's just, it's a big chunk of money. It's not yours. It's, just keep an eye on it. So, Naomi, you want this?
Sure.
Kind of scribbled on it. Might have put some food on it too, so. Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody else?
I'm trying to understand the need for this. You're telling me the money that they make at Chase Park, they want to put into a special fund for them to be able to spend without coming to you?
They want to be able to spend it to maintain and upgrade,
Chase Park.
no, all park areas.
Okay, I think that a number was floated, but I couldn't hear it. How much do they make at Chase Park?
The average has been in the past up to $14,000 a year as a high,
No, 20.
as a high.
Last year, they got 14. It
And this
dropped.
year,
Okay, so-
it dropped again.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so, and that money generally goes into the general fund?
that's correct.
Does that mean that their budget then will go down by that amount? Or is that in addition to what they ask from the town? John, you probably know.
It would be an addition, correct?
I
Yes.
think so, yeah.
It'd be an addition. The funding that they have now, again, with cost of inflation, cost of every services going up, just in general, trash removal, the dumpsters, the porta potties have all doubled for them. So, and their budget has not, obviously, it's been default. But this would also be, they've been tabling repairs to the Bolton Field playground. They haven't done, what was it, 3 years they haven't done chips?
Around the, yeah, down there, benches around the gazebo.
Yeah, benches
need to
around the
be
gazebo are
repaired.
rotted.
So this would be like a savings account for them for when they need something,
To maintain the
To maintain
facilities
it.
that they
They would
have.
repair, make repairs, order,
but there is a maintenance line here. Would that maintenance line come out? $3,000?
no,
No.
no.
I'm just trying to understand
Yep,
it.
no, it would not.
But the way it's worded is really kind of,
Yeah.
They've been kicking the can down the road for several years on repairing stuff, and it's just got to the point where
There's such a need now,
That's the line,
so.
I used it.
Anybody else?
It could be an old
And
version.
obviously, we're taking notes frivolously up here, things to change, so. Move on to the cypre for $10,000 for cemetery funds, to come from the cemetery trust fund cypre account, zero tax impact.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, we've talked about, which I've had no success trying to find someone, but I think there's someone out there, is to help us set up, figure out who's buried where. So $10,000 is what we've always used for inside work to the cemetery. And there's $141,000 in there. Should we up it and try to find somebody actively? I mean, I haven't had any luck. Because we all know, come time to bury, we always struggle.
Yes.
Because what's on the ground, what's not been done,
What's documented?
what's not documented. And you can't, it's illegal, and we're not going to jail, but I just think it's time that we maybe find someone to lay out the ground for us. We've talked about it.
Now,
So would you increase from 10 to a number that we could start to get someone to do some locating, to do some laying out of the property? It's still within, it would still be zero,
right, zero tax impact.
but
is-
if you upped it from 10, cypre takes care of what's inside the cemetery, which,
Right,
marking out the graves and things like that would be extremely useful.
absolutely, especially moving.
I don't know
forward
what the
in laws.
number would be.
Okay.
I did look, Amherst did it, but Amherst had someone lay out completely empty field. That was easy.
That's easy,
We're talking old cemeteries.
right. The
that-
Army Corps and everything like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
so.
I'm bringing it up while you're talking about it, because, I'm always uncomfortable when someone calls and wants to bury somebody,
Yeah,
because I have no idea what's there.
right. Yeah,
Does everyone understand what Naomi is proposing? I see some confused looks. So upgrading our mapping system, currently, if you go into our vault, we have a series of maps that some of them are in conflict relative to where people have been buried over the history of the town. So it's a very tedious process. So what she's proposing is allotting some money to remap some of our larger cemeteries especially, so that we can be absolutely sure we're not encroaching on a plot
site.
where someone else has been buried. We spend hours, as you know, we have assumed the responsibility as trustees, and our only mechanism, which John has done the majority of it, is rotting prior to saying, okay, after looking at 6 different maps, this spot appears to be okay. And it's a matter of feet. In one case this year, it was a matter of inches that we were encroaching on someone else's.
Plot.
Yeah, I mean, you know, someplace we shouldn't be. So what this would mean was hiring a service to map, specifically map. And they have machinery that they can look 8, 10 inches below the surface and tell us what's there.
Or more.
It's seriously a very good lawnmower.
Yeah.
So that's what Naomi is presenting to us for consideration. And you, yes, come on up and speak.
It's probably a good idea, but I don't know that you can use cypre for that. I think you're going to have to check that out, that
Yeah, well, we're.
purpose, because I don't think you can use it for
I
that
don't know.
purpose.
Yeah.
It's always been work within the walls, so I don't know what work is described as, though. You're right. No, it's
Yeah,
just
you
a
really
thought.
need to check
Yeah.
that.
Just a
'cause-
thought.
okay.
So, we'll look into it. I think it's a valid point. I think we should definitely look
It
into it.
wouldn't change the impact.
Correct. The tax impact still be 0, so.
And you were discussing possibly 20?
I didn't come up with a number.
Okay.
I don't really know.
All right, well, let's figure out if we can even use it first, and we'll go from
Yeah,
there.
okay.
Yep. All right, town forester, oh, did you want to speak to cypre or town forest?
Yeah, no, I got it right, slide right.
Cypre, okay.
Just as a general comment, I don't disagree with the need. I appreciate that the selectmen have to do the job now, and I don't really object to the increase of money. But, this is a public hearing. And something like this, and again, not being disrespectful to anybody up in front of me, something like that should have been brought up publicly at a meeting. I mean, you went through budgets and all that, not a final change at a public hearing. The type of discussion you're having now, it's out of place. And irrespective of, having it at a previous meeting, that's what kind of has been lost with, going through several drafts, at the board level of this here. It probably, if there were several drafts that you guys, had discussed, could have come up and would have been better prepared for the public hearing, instead of making a change now. I know you can make changes, but, again, not being disrespectful, but that's what's kind of been lost for me about having, several extra meetings. I mean, how many times you meet every other week, during budget season? So, again, I don't,
Yeah, I'd mentioned it once before
okay,
about trying to find a price.
okay.
And we had talked about the
I
Amherst
don't-
gig.
I brought it up under an administrative report, but
Okay.
at the same time,
Okay,
I haven't
that,
been able to find someone. And this is the first time you've seen the warrant articles, yes.
okay,
It's a public hearing to gather input, because we may make changes after tonight.
yeah. Okay, I mean, I do
Yeah,
try
no,
to attend
I
as
hear
many
ya.
meetings as I can. I don't stay till the very end, but, so, okay, so it seems like it has been covered, but, so probably this specific article, a decision could have been made for the public hearing. Thank you.
Understood, thank you. Town forester? Readoption of the veterans tax credit?
Is this something we're gonna see every year, or is there a way that we can make this
No, it has
a
to do with the
permanent?
all veterans credit. So they're making a readoption for everybody, because that was an opportunity which we took advantage of. So now they want us to readopt to include, even though we did last year, this should be a one-time. But I'll get I'll get you further information. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it just might be
Yep.
nice to know that this is not gonna be something we have to
No,
do every
you
year.
won't
No,
see
you
it
shouldn't
each
have to do it every year.
But if we don't adopt it, it goes back to the $50 instead of the 500.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tax credit, Frank?
Yes.
Okay.
I forgot, well, I got waylaid once, Rick.
I know.
I try not to do
Just
it
making
again.
sure.
But that was actually on last year's warrant article. I don't know if it's on this year's.
That's what we were just discussing. That it's because there was
Is that what you said?
yeah, well, that was her question. There was a change at the state.
Okay.
And they just want to reaffirm the stance, that's
And
all.
if we don't readopt it, it goes back to 50 instead of
Right.
500.
Oh, here it is. Oh, really?
Yep,
Oh, I don't like that.
So,
just saying.
so,
But
I know
I'll
what
give
you're
you,
laughing at. You guys have already eaten that up on me, so
We're looking after you, Frank.
you are.
trying to.
So, okay,
Okay.
thanks.
So is that a state number, the 500? Or can we change it to anything we want?
I think we adopted 500 a long time ago.
Well, yeah, it's nothing
Through a vote on town meeting.
nothing I remember, but yeah, it was vote town meeting.
So I propose that we up it. And we can have a public discussion on what that should be or what that would look like, but
I don't think you
if
can.
that number stayed the same for that many years and these veterans have served our country, and we can't give a little bit extra for them, their cost of living has gone
Nick,
up.
Nick, can you just pause? Members of the audience, can we give this man some respect, please? Thank you.
So, I mean, I don't know what that number would look like, 750, 800, I'm just throwing numbers out, but I see all these other costs going up and fuel and everything else, but the veterans, which have served our country, are stuck with that same 500 number, so just throwing that out there, I think we
I
should
think
actually
you could look
increase
at
that.
it, but I'm not sure that we can. We can look at it.
I mean, we got a lot of fat in here we could trim to make that happen. I think that's pretty easy, pretty doable, so just my thoughts.
Thank you.
This is to allow anyone who served, right? Because previously it was just those that served
Met the
during time of
criteria, yeah.
war.
Last year, we did the any veterans.
Okay, and if we don't approve this, it goes back to 50? Is that what you said?
Yes,
Sure?
that's what I was told.
Okay. Because there was a vote of the town to make it 500.
Came from the assessing people.
Huh?
I'd have to find
Oh,
the
okay.
information. I meant to have it for you tonight, but I just didn't get to the back page, I guess.
Anyone else?
Not that my memory's all that good, and you certainly need to verify it, but I know when I moved here, it was $50. There was a resident that petitioned for, I think, $250, and that was passed. And then there was a resident that petitioned for $500, which what it's at now. And I think, again, I'm sure you will check it out, I think the 500 was the maximum that was allowed by the state.
Oh, okay.
So whether that's changed or not, I don't know.
We'll look into it.
I mean, I like the $1,000, but the state says no, I guess it's no.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, next line is from the police department. It's to secure $12,402 for the purpose of the additional cost of the police department for dispatch and IT services contract of the town of Goffstown.
A suggestion on wording. The last line says if the operating budget passes, an operating budget will pass. It's whether it's a proposed budget or if it's a
Oh.
default budget.
Proposed budget.
So I think the intention here is that it's the proposed budget passes.
Okay,
I think you want to change that.
thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
So Beth actually brought up a good point to me today. What happens if the proposed budget and this article fails? We don't have dispatch services.
No
So,
means
No.
no means no.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
No computers in the cars,
So would you
no
like-
server.
So would you like to remove this article, sir?
It's, we need the article, but, yeah,
Would
I
you
don't
like-
think we have a choice.
Okay.
We can't risk it,
Okay.
because we would not.
They would have dispatch services.
Catastrophic.
Okay.
I would, me personally, I would like to leave it just to see. I know the people in my department would like to leave it.
But again,
Oh, I can tell you, it's catastrophic if this fails, but it will send a message to the guys on where we stand.
I would disagree with that sentiment,
Okay.
so.
That was the sentiment there.
Right, but I would disagree with that,
Okay.
so.
But yeah, it
I
would
disagree with that
absolutely be-
mindset of what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah,
I don't think that's right.
well, we're going on past experience.
I understand that, but I don't believe it's right. So-
Okay. Factual.
So.
But yeah, it would be catastrophic if both
Yep.
of those failed.
Okay. All right. So I think we're gonna remove it, but we'll have that discussion at the board level. So we have a couple petition articles. One is to pave Orchard Hill in Apple Way.
I don't think you got anybody here.
Yeah, this is a petition article, nothing that we came up with, so, Tom, if you wanna speak to it.
I just want to offer an opinion.
Yeah.
No, we can't change it. I just think it approve, if this passes, it would set a precedent that we probably don't want. We have professionals in our highway department who set out a plan, and I don't think we want people competing with each other through warrant articles to see which road gets paved first. I think it's part of an overall plan that should exist, and in the past it has, and it's been posted on the website. And I think that's the way to go. Certainly, people can come to this board and make a request that they be on the list, and that can be worked out between the board and the highway department. But I think that would, if this passes, I believe it would set a precedent that would have people competing through warrant articles for whose road gets paved first.
Okay. Frank?
Well, if you allow me to backtrack to the dispatch article, because I was trying to find the line on the budget. I couldn't
Okay.
find it quick enough. Again, it's the budget you have in front of you, it's page 13. The top of the page, fire dispatch. It shows increase in the proposed budget column. It does show an increase of 12,402. And the explanation, contract increase. So, I mean, if it's a contract, I guess
Where are you at again? Frank?
page 13?
On what, in the bindered book?
Yeah, with the, no, in the blue one, yeah, that one there.
I must have a different copy than you do.
No, you referenced it once.
Well, page 13 does not line up with,
In the
Oh,
binder book,
okay.
it's page 14, line
Yeah.
255.
there it is, okay, yep. I'm on it.
So that amount is already included in the default, in the proposed budget. So I don't know, I don't understand the need for separate article.
The increase is the difference. The increase should be between proposed and default is in the special article.
Right, and that's what
But
that
if
was.
the
But it-
budget doesn't pass and the article doesn't pass, then he's got no dispatch, because no means no.
Okay, well, I mean, this is really backtracking for me. It's odd for me to have to even say it. But if it's a contract, then why isn't that reflected in the default budget? There's contract increase. Board of Selectmen, year 2 of 3.
Because the board entered into it. Am I right in
Okay,
saying that?
but it's still a contract.
We enter
Apparently.
into IT, you enter into a
Lawn
contract for
care,
line,
et
lawn
cetera.
care.
Yeah.
All those are done throughout the course of the year to conduct business.
Okay,
So
I get it.
until they're approved in a budget, then the town doesn't embrace the contract, we still have to conduct business.
Right.
So even though we've signed a contract with Goffstown
With
for their
Goffstown.
dispatch,
Yeah.
it hasn't been in an approved budget yet, so we're working on a default number.
Okay, so just the definition of contract doesn't allow that to roll into the default?
It doesn't meet the RSA, or we'd roll them all in.
Okay,
See?
you're right, lawn care and all that, right.
Yeah,
I know.
Et cetera.
Right.
You open up the
Yeah,
Pandora's box. Okay,
exactly, that's why it's
All right.
written that way.
Okay,
So it's called a contract, it's just not been accepted.
yeah.
Right.
Okay, thanks again.
Sure.
Thank you.
The fire department's in the same boat.
Vote.
Right, fire
Right.
department dispatch, same way.
Right. All right, and then the last petition article is to call on the state and federal elected representatives to enact a carbon pricing legislation to protect New Hampshire from the costs and environmental risks of continued climate inaction. It goes on. This looks like it was,
I
yeah,
typed what was there.
yeah,
It was a petition signed by 32 people,
correct. So,
and it was submitted with blanks, so.
any comments?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Continued climate inaction. The federal government just passed, I don't know how many trillions of dollars related to climate change.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, with that, thank you for the recommendations. We will discuss them. And I'm gonna close the public hearing. Oh, what?
Just waiting till the end. There's an article that's not on the warrant that I'm concerned about, that it's not. That's,
Buildings? Government buildings?
Yes,
Oh,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah,
yeah, and we discussed that. that-
him and I discussed that.
it's
Today.
29,000.
Yeah, it's significantly low. It needs to be increased.
Yep.
Yeah. So what Mr. Butt's talking about is the government building maintenance fund, which all of the buildings in town are maintained by. If a boiler craps out, it comes out of that fund. If the window falls out, it comes from that fund. Floor issues, everything. Everything to maintain the buildings comes from that fund. And the number that this board has always observed was to keep in that fund was approximately $60,000, and it's down just shy of 30,000 now. So there'll be an article put on, and again, the town administrator and I talked about it in our brief discussion this afternoon, that we're gonna put a warrant article forward to replenish that fund back to that $60,000 number, with the description of plans of what we're gonna do with that funding. So,
So you'd be looking at $30,000 increase.
approximately, yeah. So. Anything else? Okay, I'm gonna close the public hearing. 9:03. Okay, we'll take a short recess.
What?
30-yard line, Brady was in second.
Oh, bummer.
Okay.
No? I lose my. There it is. Did you get your stuff yet? Did you get your stuff from Jeremy yet? Close to it. I haven't seen him in like 3 weeks, so. Okay, I don't feel alone then.
We're gonna talk about these, because we do need to wrap these up. Because you have to sign it on the 30th. Why do you think the date is on the back? So I think we need to talk about whether you take Jason and then come back to it. Neither, because I was up till midnight last night. Let's do that next week. Yeah. So next week. No, this Thursday. Right, next week, 4 hours are meeting Monday.
The petitions are due, or that's passed.
I wasn't open these days because I have the kids. Right, but they want to, they want us to go tomorrow to talk about things.
All right. Okay, we're gonna resume. And that brings us to the department head committee items, DPW update, interim director Jason Fisk.
More paper.
All right.
Thank you.
Just trying to get a plan together for our roadside mowing for the spring. Just real quick, what we got currently, nice Land Pride parallel arm rotary cutter. Not so nice 95 Ford tractor that needs some serious work. Goal of this presentation is just to ensure the most efficient, cost-effective manner roadside mowing we can get here in town. I got 4 alternatives to pick from. I'd like to have you guys review them and kind of mull them over. It's not a right now at this moment thing, but it's something we definitely got to look forward to.
Okay. So we're looking at a proposal from the DPW director of replacement of the mowing tractor, the roadside mowing tractor. The tractor itself has failed. The mowing apparatus that mounts to it is in good shape and serviceable, but the mower itself has failed. The tractor itself has failed, excuse me. So he's got 4 different alternatives here. First would be basically purchasing a new tractor in conjunction with a mowing attachment already owned, going forward, putting it out to bid, adjusting the budget to continue renting a mower, and/or fixing what we have. It's not repairable, it's just probably not cost efficient to put the money into it.
Not for the year and all the wear that's on the machine. We're just going to be dumping money into.
Hemorrhaging money into it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, he's laid out some cost figures here, and the board will review them, and we'll have a discussion. Like I said, it's a 2024 potential.
Yeah, all these options for this year, I believe that the most effective thing would be for us to rent one with the money that we have in the budget.
Okay.
That's just a way for us to get it done, anyway.
Yeah.
It might be limited to what we can do due
But at
to
least
the money,
something will get
but
done.
at least we can get some done.
Okay.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah. Much appreciated, absolutely.
No worries.
So, all right, any questions for Jason?
Yeah, I got one question. How you doing on getting the trucks that broke down repaired?
All day today. 2 chains, 13 hydraulic hoses, just in the short salt run we did this morning, this afternoon.
Okay.
So, yeah, like I said earlier, DPW is in need of some equipment.
Yep.
But we're getting it done.
How many
Mo's a
chains?
big help. 2,
2?
yeah.
Good.
Mo's a big help, for sure, when I'm a little bit more busy than
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
could be. But
Yeah.
he's in there taking up a lot of slack too. A lot of guys are pitching in. We're all coming together for sure.
It's all hands on deck.
Yeah, it has been.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Go home and get some sleep.
Yeah.
Just so everybody recognizes, he hasn't been asleep for a day and a half now. So, time to get home and get to bed.
One more thing I wanted from you guys. just going forward with this whole process with me anyway, if you guys got any constructive criticisms, criticisms anyway, reach out, let me know.
I get your number.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Jay, appreciate it.
Yep.
All right. Brings us to the infamous public comment.
Discouraged to hear the discussion regarding public comment at your last meeting. It seems like you're taking action as a result of one person, and it's affecting a lot of people. And when I was on the board, we had 2 public comments, one at the beginning, one at the end. The one at the beginning is critical, because that gives the opportunity for people to come in at a set time, right at the beginning of the meeting, to make comment. They don't have to sit through. You're forcing them to sit through an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours of other business. And their comment generally is going to be applied to something that happened at a previous meeting. In addition to that, comments were made, well, they'll be able to comment on stuff that we talked about. Sorry, but, you know, maybe there's no interest in commenting on things that you discussed that they don't know about prior to coming to the meeting. I wish you'd put it back to where it was. It's been like that for years and years. It works. It's at the beginning of the meeting. People can schedule their time to come in then. They don't have to wait around, sit around for something. And you don't know how long. So it's always been convenient for people to come in at the beginning of the meeting to make comment, because they know the time. I know there's some people that only want to have public comment, but we've had it. We've had it for years. I hate to see a decision made by 3 people, the other board members aren't here. There's nothing specific as to how you're going to handle that. There was some comments made about it has to deal with the topic at hand. What the board's, it could have happened, it could be a discussion about something 2 weeks ago, which is when you had your last meeting. So, I wish you would just leave it alone. It seems like a lot of the laws and procedures and policies are written because they go to the lowest common denominator. Because that person did that, we're going to penalize everybody. You see it in facilities like parks, and they close it down because somebody went in there after hours. Yeah, it's just kind of, I kind of equate it to that.
Okay.
So I'm urging the board to reconsider. There's no final decision made. There's nothing documented in terms of what you can and what you can't discuss. I wish you'd just go back, leave it the way it was. It could get abused, but I tell you, personally, I'm disappointed in the chairman not cutting off discussion at the last 2 meetings, at least 2 meetings ago. That was the chairman's responsibility, I think, to stop, because it was getting personal. And I didn't like that, and I was sitting right here. I was like, don't stop, stop it. But that was your responsibility. You can do that anytime you want, I feel. So I don't think you need to change the meetings, come up with a set of rules and restrictions for 99% of the people that don't abuse the public comment, like I'm abusing it now.
Dick, could I ask you a question? How would you feel about if there was a sort of a preamble that outlined the purpose of public comment to be addressing a previously discussed issues that are before the board that are not of personal nature? Because what can happen is, as we potentially could happen.
We're setting the precedent here.
Okay.
This is not what we want to do in public comment. So,
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
thank you.
Question concerning this, I guess I missed it. Are you still going to have public comment at the beginning of the meetings?
The intended plan was to move it midship before the administrator's report, et cetera. That was the intention to try. It was not solid, it was to try.
Yeah, well, it has gone around, as you know, from 2 to 1, and we had it at the end for a while. But the problem with that, having it later in the meeting, is that there were a lot of elderly people who wanted to attend. I'm not talking about myself here, you understand, the public comment portion. And so, having it start at 7 o'clock, it allowed an opportunity for some of the elder members of the community to have input. And so I would suggest that you have one at the beginning of the meeting. Beyond that, it's up to you, 1, 2, but as early in the meeting as possible.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Frank?
My topic is about public comment, and I would like to ask the chairman, the last speaker, he offended me. He said elderly people can't wait till before the manifest. So, but we're in the same boat. I get it, that's why I said it. So I looked at the YouTube, and I'm not a great transcriber. But I know I have been critical and made associations to some actions of the board in singling out one selectman in particular. Probably a couple of times I've done that, but that kind of goes along with the job. I think I've done it respectfully, but perhaps, somebody has a different definition. But Selectman Cahill, again, the YouTube, when you were discussing moving it. Public comment, many times, comment comes from the fast and furious. Well, I'm speaking for myself. I'm neither fast nor furious, all right? At least I don't think I have. I haven't been censored by the board. Selectman Hippler, town business, related, specific. Okay, again, not a great transcriber. Selectman Cahill, I've already fulfilled that at the introduction to state the topic. That may be a good idea, get you prepared. And this here, if the public comment gets into defamation of character, I certainly agree with that, although over my 52 years in the town here, if somebody wants to criticize me, I've always said, do it to my face and not behind my back, so I don't care. That even applies to you folks. Do it to my face. Provided the topic is before the board. In other words, I think I understood it that you have to comment on a topic that's before the board. Well, what if I want to make a public comment next meeting on something that went on tonight? I may want to ask for a little more specifics of the roadside mower. Is that out of place? That it should cause the new placement of the public comment? I don't think so. Upcoming, also up and coming topics. Well, how do I know what's going to be up and coming? And that was the purpose of before and after public comment. The schools still have it. That was the purpose of before and after public comments. That if something happened at the meeting, it gave somebody a chance to, which I think you might have, maybe the last speaker, to comment on. Maybe it might be constructive, maybe it might be critical, I don't know. Directly related to activity, make comment directly related to activities of a department. Okay. And Selectman Cahill, on occasion, it may not be appropriate to respond to public comment. Well, you've set you have a policy that you don't respond to public comment, which I think is certainly understandable if it's something new to you folks. And I know one of the preceding selectmen, he said, well, if we don't have the answer for you tonight, we'll get it for you. Perfectly acceptable. And then open with public comment, move to a later part in the agenda. I really think it's certainly within the authority of the chairman. You're smart enough. If you think public comment by somebody is going a little bit overboard, I'm not necessarily talking about censoring, okay? But you're educated enough that you can, use the right words and say, well, maybe that's enough, don't go anymore. I mean, well, somebody's only got 5 minutes anyway, which I'm probably over the 5 minutes, I'm sure.
Getting close.
See, if I'd been able to do this at the beginning of the meeting, I would have been able to go home, and I wouldn't have taken up the rest of the public hearing. So I'm making a little bit light of it, but I'll tell you, I've never, very rarely have I seen someone go overboard, and maybe it was just, something that happened, okay? I'm not justifying it, but I think really, you ought to consider moving it back.
Okay,
Have
thank
it
you.
the way it is.
5 minutes, thank you.
And, okay. And don't reduce it to back to 3 minutes either.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thanks, Frank. Any other public comment? Okay. Move on to the manifests. I'm gonna vote to order the treasurer to sign the payroll accounts payables checks dated January 19th, 2023, as including the following manifests. A payroll manifest of $70,206.37 for weekly payroll. A 2022 accounts payable manifest of $165,908.63. 2023 accounts payable manifest of $577,954.53. John Stark for $500,000, Weare School District for $600,000, for a total of $1,914,069.53. The following manifests were previously ordered to be signed at the December 28th meeting of the Board of Selectmen. A payroll manifest of $70,246.43 for checks dated 1/12/23. A 2022 accounts payable manifest of $28,786.78 for checks dated 1/12/2023. And a 2023 accounts payable manifest of $14,792.40 for checks dated 1/12/23. As there is no selectmen's meeting scheduled for Monday, January 23rd. Further, order treasurer to sign payroll checks dated January 26th, estimated to be about $80,000. Further, order treasurer to sign up to the amount of $90,000 for accounts payables that cannot wait until the next scheduled meeting. Reports and actual check amounts will be reported to the Board of Selectmen by inclusion in the manifest memo at the next scheduled meeting. Other than a mouthful, is there a second?
Second,
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
yes.
Yes. Administrator's report.
I'm just gonna, in preparation of tonight, you and I had talked about some bridge funding allocations. I'm just gonna let you guys have that. Just to, we can, when we get back together next week for our change to the warrant articles, because I have to find out some legal information, I just want you to have an idea of the bridge funding allocation, of the need that we've talked about, basically, for Lull Road, the estimate that Jason talked about of 68,000 that you gave the green light to, and the need for the 20% of the 3 million, if that's where we go. These are round numbers, nothing that we've really hashed out, so that you would need 818. And then if you look at
I'm sorry, Kevin.
what's in the bridge construction fund, the additional money from the 926 public hearing, and the possibility of taking, the ARPA funds, because if you look in the back of this book, Beth did a really nice job of all of our funds and what's left. The ARPA funds, provided we get written documentation from the power companies, which we've got verbals, the American Rescue Plan money, there's $269,994.80 would be left after we do the co-locate on the existing towers.
Yeah, but we haven't done the civilian work yet.
Well, that $600,000 was the total bid. So you had 9 something to work with?
Yeah.
So just, like I said, this is just food for thought. So my thought was if you took $100,000, you'd basically have it. But that would also leave you $169,000 in the ARPA money to offset a truck. I didn't think about the other money, but this is what I basically threw together for you guys. Just information when you want to think about it and sit down next time as to, do you do 2, do you fund 1, do you?
And this doesn't account for that block grant we got, right?
So you got,
This is all the bridge fund stuff.
no, you got an additional block grant of 239, which was mentioned earlier. No, it doesn't include, what I gave you was the bridge money.
Bridge.
But there was an additional 239, 376 that we got also with the bridge money.
Correct, that went to the block grant.
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
that's what was mentioned
That's,
earlier.
and that's
So-
what I was, yeah, that's what I was alluding to, was that
Okay,
money.
so just food for thought when we talk about this and how you're gonna fund things, there's a
Right.
couple of means of doing it.
Yep,
So I just wanted to let you
Okay.
have that and keep that when we get back together.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go to my long-winded piece of paper. Sorry, I filled it out. So the joint loss, I've been wondering, what's happened, the last time they met was September 27th. And because we've had vacancies, those vacancies have been people that are sitting on the committee, so now there's only a committee of like 2. So we need to refill, the fire chief was 1, DPW was 1, so, we have to move along, which we will. A lot of progress got made, but we have to fill the vacancies or ask for more.
well, I don't think that those 2 individuals should refill with the current staffing and.
Oh, yeah,
and
no, I'm
projects
just saying
have.
that's why
Yeah.
they haven't met.
Right, and that's fine.
Okay. Radio communication, I just mentioned, we have a verbal, we're waiting to get written approval from them
Okay.
before we move on. Asbestos testing, so asbestos testing was done, Buzzell Hill roof shingles came back positive for asbestos. On the Barden property, which is what we bought with conservation money, there are several materials within the structure that tested positive for asbestos, the window glazing, interior and exterior caulking, cementous paneling around the chimney and the fireplace. So I'm not sure, our next step would obviously be to do something with it, but I think it's gonna have to wait till spring of '23.
Yeah, I can't get truck in
You
there
can't
now.
get either. So just, I wanted to make you aware that there was asbestos in both places.
Okay.
Cemeteries, we need to pick a date. I know I didn't fix the date for the reconstruction discussion for DPW vacancies. I know December 21st has gone by. I didn't change that date.
That kind of went by.
I really would like to see us do it maybe after deliberative session, but in between, because we have deliberative session in a couple, 2.5 weeks. So I'd like to do that. Evaluation forms, I gave Jason a handful of them, the ones that you approved, which is a 2-page, well, 1-page, 2-sided. And he's gonna work at getting those done for February 1st. I'm gonna do my staff for February 1st, so you guys gave us February 1st for deadline. Let's see, budget schedule you have. The next one, so the solid waste ordinance, you guys, I think, all have a discussion, or have one of the old ones from
Yeah.
1992,
Just got one.
which is about now 31 years old. So I think we need to really take a close look at that, because in 31 years, things have changed. And I think there could be I made some suggested changes.
Okay.
Like inspection being done prior to dumping, coming up with a percentage that each load needs. And then once it's inspected, that the, whoever the hauler is, disposes of it in the proper location. Because the haulers are waiting to see what we're doing, so I don't know if you want to have a public hearing or a work session. Do you want to have a work session, then a public hearing after you make suggested changes, so it could be advertised?
Probably a better idea.
So you have one and then the other? Okay, and so I'll work those into the schedule after February 4th, if that's okay. Okay, which is gonna bring me down to, the town hall projects, the bathroom renovations. We had it set for December into January, because we didn't put it out in January. It's on the website now, it's kind of a tight window. We put it on the website, and contractors through the building department, Katie has supplied Monique with a list.
Okay.
And they've been reaching out to just say, hey, there's a bid online.
Yep.
We have a site walk. So our tight window is, the site walk is gonna be on 2/2 at 9:30. Bids will be due on 2/16. Now, 2/16 is a Thursday, because I would like to have a meeting on Friday to award, and the reason is because Monday we're not here for a holiday. We're closed for President's Day. So I know it's tight, but if we bump it to the next week, it's one more week out.
Okay.
And I think most things could be purchased, and done. So it's tight, but I think we need to do that. And the same thing, I think, I need to just catch up with Clay for the library chimney.
He'll be here on the 30th.
30th, okay, I haven't caught up with him yet, okay. Because today was a weird holiday. Some people were working, some people weren't.
Yep.
You know, we were open, but yet your schools, your banks, your post office was all closed. So trying to catch people today was a little
Shot me
difficult.
an email.
Okay, perfect. Other than that, the solar project, I just gotta catch up with them and see where they are and what they're up to, and have them come in. But I know we've got a lot between now and
We got a
town
lot
meeting,
between now
so,
and meeting,
I just want to put that out there.
Okay. All right.
That's all basically, I usually have anything more, I don't even have anything for correspondence.
We do, I do.
Okay.
Minutes, how we doing?
I know I said I'd get you that
Yeah,
set, I'm sorry.
we gotta get those done. This is inexcusable at this point.
Well,
And I understand we're strapped, I get it, but we're very, very far behind. So. I was gonna try and get, what was I trying to get? Oh, the correspondence. Where was I here? Excuse me for a moment. We got a follow-up email from a couple asking that their questions be answered from the 12-5 meeting.
Right.
yeah, I tried to reach her today, they were closed today,
Okay.
because I got the same on Saturday.
Yep.
Yeah, and I wanted
Sunday.
to see.
I think it was Sunday, didn't we?
I wanted to see where we were, but it bounced back saying she's out of the office for the holiday, won't be back till Tuesday.
Okay, very good. Just wanna make sure we're
Yeah.
making follow-up there.
Yep.
I think that was about it that I had, the correspondence. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else.
We don't have anything.
I don't have anything. Do you, John?
Yeah, just a question more than anything else. Do we still have the ad out for DPW hires? If not, we should put it back out, and I'm suggesting put it in the Union Leader or something, a statewide publication.
I don't know, I don't know if it's still out,
While I don't disagree with the sentiment, I think the Union Leader is the wrong avenue. I think that unfortunately, I mean,
Well, I'm just saying, we need to get something statewide.
nhjobs.com, nhhires.com, indeed.com. I know it all requires a small monetary commitment, but, that's, it's gotta be, to me, it has to be some kind of an online platform.
Oh, that's fine.
That's fine. Whatever the board decides to use, New Hampshire Municipal, I don't think is an option. I don't think
certain people look there, but not the.
doesn't
drivers.
reach enough crowd.
No.
In the past, the Hillsborough Messenger hasn't reached the crowd that we want, so we gotta find another avenue.
What about, Zipline, is it?
ZipRecruiter?
Yeah.
ZipRecruiter?
Never used it.
Yeah, it's like an Indeed, it's competitor to Indeed.
Yeah, Indeed, anybody that's on unemployment sends it, whether they baked cookies or not.
Right, which I understand that, but
I'm just saying, we were over inundated one time
with
something that didn't even.
candidates that didn't meet the credentials.
It didn't even have, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, okay, just,
I've never tried ZipRecruiter, I could look it up.
yeah, just a thought. Again, and I think you're right, I think that's pretty good, that's a fairly decent avenue. Just to reach the masses.
Yeah,
You
no, I know there's been a couple of comments, they've come and got applications, when you ask what you pay,
Yeah,
they
They smirk
usually
and leave?
No, they take the application, but you don't see them again.
yep, that's my
You
fear.
know, I know we're a little higher than the state, I have
Yeah.
a cousin that works at the state, and they're lower than we are.
The state is
They're
hurting
short
hard.
57 people,
The state is hurting, that's just District 5.
right,
Yeah, that's not the statewide, that's just District 5,
yep.
which covers this area, Canterbury, Derry, Henniker, Deering, Canterbury, up to Warner.
Yeah, it's the same
Yeah,
atmosphere everywhere. I mean, everybody tries.
Yeah, I don't know where everybody went, to be honest with you.
I mean,
And to go along with that one, I think sometime along, there again, after the deliberative session, we need to sit down and figure out what we're gonna do for requirements for a DPW director.
Yep, that's what, we talked about the restructuring,
yeah,
and what you wanted it, how we want it.
so.
So just, I'll add that, so the Board of Fire Wards, we had applications for the fire chief. And then they met, last Monday?
Yeah.
They met last Monday, and, 5 people applied, but out of the 5 people, there was a pool of 2.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Because they
I
didn't
watched that,
follow
yeah.
everything. So what they've done, just so you guys all know, is they've, contracted with MRI.
MRI.
And MRI, it's gonna be about 60 days, but they take it just like they did with the chief. They
And they
go
spread
from
it.
the hire all the way through.
To the last.
And when you get to the end, you have a choice to make, as, they can do a background check, they can do it for an additional fee, but it's typically gonna run between 45 and 5,000. That's advertising, putting the article together, reaching several places, and they've decided to go that route.
I think in the past, this board has had mixed success with that.
Yep.
But, you know, again, it depends on, I think it depends on who's sitting in this board and is how
Yeah.
it's how it's shaken out.
I think that volunteer board doesn't
Right.
have the opportunity that, I think MRI can reach more networking than.
Oh, absolutely.
Than what, I mean, it didn't get on the academy, the fire
Nope.
academy, but I'm not sure, from what I've heard, that would have got more people.
I don't think it would.
And they've got other resources than we do because they're all over. So I think the idea was they'd get more than 5, but these people that, you know, applied are welcome to look for that ad as well. And continue down there. It's largely because 3 of them, when you ask for 4 things and you turn in between 1 and 3, I guess, my thought, it's a personal thought, that if you can't follow instructions, I'm not sure, you know, and maybe it was an oversight, a quick oversight, last minute thought, I don't know.
Yeah. No,
But I just wanted you guys to kind of be in the loop, because you are gonna see through them, or, and actually you might not see through them, but the MRI is gonna be working with
Conducting.
them. It'll be 60 days roughly.
I had a brief discussion with Selectman Van this afternoon. I just wanted to touch base with him, see how things are going. He's had a lot going on, obviously, and I just wanted to touch upon a couple things. Again, I know that you know, he still wants to be here, but obviously he's got other things, they're more pressing, family-related, so. But he did mention that kind of in line with the allocations sheet that the town administrators gave us, he mentioned potentially using some of the ARPA money to fund one of the cruiser. And he just wanted to plant that seed for food for thought. So, again, I know we're gonna discuss these warrant articles in the public hearing at a later date, but just wanted to plant the seed with you guys that he was thinking about. He wanted to mention that, so.
Can the ARPA money be used to refund the building fund?
I think that was a specific, that you couldn't use it to replenish funding, reserve funds.
Let's just double check on the, before we start allocating everything.
Yeah,
I think we need to check on what our specifics are.
right. I know it's changed since day one when we received the money.
Yeah,
The guidelines have changed.
Yeah.
So I think we need to revisit the guidelines as far as, you know, what we can use it for.
Yeah.
Because obviously we have it here for a DPW truck, and,
Yep.
you know, Selectman Van asked about PD, so, just a thought.
Yeah, and the bridge numbers, Naomi, this is great. The only caveat would be, until these projects are done or out to bid, we don't really know how much they cost.
Right.
So a certain amount of an allowance number has
Yeah,
to be
I
carried.
mean-
Flexibility, right,
Yeah, until we actually put the paper to the pencil and get them
Yeah.
to put a number down.
right,
I mean, we had estimated like 120 for the fix, and Jason came up with a different number.
right.
You know, those numbers, I
Yeah.
think, were part of the engineer's package, but
Right.
that's today.
That's today, that's not.
2026
that's
is
not
when
in a
we
month.
gotta
Yeah.
redo the bridge.
Right.
And that's when the 80%,
Is gonna
and
kick
why I
in.
said $600,000 is, that's the, kind of the 60-year,
Yeah.
which we don't have to worry
Now,
about.
I guess I'm looking way in the future here, and I guess not too far, but, in 2024, obviously, we'll reevaluate, but maybe we should think about a warrant article for another installment into that fund, like we did before. Just,
Yeah, I think,
again, we'll
I think we have to
reevaluate.
relook at a lot of things.
Oh, absolutely.
Every year.
Yeah, every year, but I think it's something that we may need to, because obviously, these numbers may change, they're fluid. So we may have
Yeah,
to
well,
just
we just-
reevaluate that.
We just had the failed culvert on Reservoir Drive, that was probably a $25,000 hit,
Yeah,
believe it or not.
Between that, and then he did use the hot box to fix it because it
Yes.
was gonna dig in every time you plowed it.
Yes.
And then if you put sand salt mixture over that, it was just gonna be mud all
it was
winter.
gonna meet it, yeah, exactly.
So we talked about, R&D coming out with a hot box and fixing it
Yeah.
for once.
Yeah,
And
Looks
that's,
good.
yeah,
Looks good.
no, that's, I don't go by, but I was
yeah,
told it does.
looks good, yeah. Yeah, I talked to Jason a little bit about that, and it sounds like there was quite a few factors that led
Yeah.
to them digging it up.
Yeah, and just, so tonight, you know, the two warrant articles for the truck. That was a second go-around at CIP, sorry. When Ben presented them, he only wanted one, and then someone talked him into, maybe this is the year to apply for two.
Yeah,
So
I-
he went back, I think a little reluctantly, but two flew.
yeah.
I don't know.
I
I'm not
think,
sure that it's, you know, and I'm just having a general discussion. We don't
yeah, I
have
think
to-
that discussion's gonna occur at this board level, but I mean, just my preliminary, I think, Mr. Clow has a very good,
Yeah, that
point.
was good public comment.
the confusion factor.
Yeah, they're gonna think it's a typo, and oh
Is-
my God,
is
I'm
a-
gonna
is a
vote
no
for
vote.
neither one, because there's
Right,
two.
right, exactly. So, I think we back it off to one myself.
Well, the
I-
point
I'd-
was,
I'd
we
wanna-
ordered after town meeting
I would
last year, we
wanna-
haven't even got it.
I would wanna include, interim director Fisk on that, but,
Sure.
my gut feeling is to back it off to one.
Yeah, so Tom made a very good point,
Yeah.
because you're gonna split the vote. It's like, why
Yeah,
you end up with one candidate that everybody's gonna stand behind, because
you're right.
otherwise you split the vote and nobody wins.
Yeah, so, and I think we've got some other ones. I think we, as a board, need to,
Yeah.
think about a couple of especially that one for the dispatch services. My first thought is not to agree with the chief
I
on his
understand what he's
thoughts.
doing, but I think.
I do too.
We could end up with nothing.
Correct, and I don't think that that's where we wanna be. No means no, and I think that's,
No, that's like a hostage situation.
and
It
that's not good.
That was
Yeah.
very much a hostage situation.
That's very bad, so I'd rather just take it off the chart for this year, and, we'll find it bottom line. That's what we have to do, so. But, I think we take it off the ballot myself, the warrant.
Yeah, and those are the things we have to decide, so.
Right.
Can we just, well, you got your calendar here for next
Yeah.
week, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I don't mind meeting the 24th. You just have to do it at 7. I can't do much earlier than that.
What do you think duration? 2 hours?
Oh, at least.
Yeah.
I don't mind, let's say 6. Oh, you can't do 6. Let's do 6:30.
6:30 is fine.
6:30.
Tuesday?
6:30 on the 24th. And we're strictly gonna finish up the warrant.
Yeah, that'd be all. What was it,
Just a
6:30.
work session.
the
I call it-
24th?
I call it a work
Yeah.
session, yeah.
Yes.
To Tuesday.
At 6:30?
I'll just tell someone they're gonna pick them up early.
Excuse me.
Then we're meeting on the 30th.
Yeah, that's scheduled meeting.
Hold on.
I've
got something coming up. I know I do, hold on. That's not what I wanted, I want this one. Yeah, I can do anything but the 26th.
Okay. Let's do the 24th at 6:30. Let's plan on that.
Okay, I like that.
I'll advertise it. Then we can be ready for the final finale with the finance committee on the 25th.
There it is.
Yeah. We can go over the budget and some of them, but some of them I gotta ask legal about.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Yeah. I was hoping we could go tomorrow night, but we can talk about the budget tomorrow night. I didn't have anything more, not that I can think of. It's 9:10.
Okay. Anything else? Any other business for the board? I know, Kevin, you wanted to talk about making a schedule for reviews
Yeah.
for the police chief. It's a couple of the ones you listed we're not responsible for.
Right.
Fire chief, librarian, et cetera, but,
So I put those question marks there.
yeah,
which is-
yeah, but, yeah. I mean, we should probably somewhere between now, well, probably somewhere around.
I think the
after
thought
COVID.
was the 30th, because we've said February 1st,
Yeah,
So we have the two.
which is the chief
Ours
and
is the two, and Jason.
Jason.
three, okay.
You have three.
Yeah.
Yeah, three.
You always had three.
Yeah.
That's fine. I think we can do it on the 30th.
Yeah, it's just, I guess.
You need to
maybe-
schedule?
Maybe a piece of our working session, we can kind of just establish what the objective is and
Yep.
the direction we want to take them.
That's fine.
Since we haven't done one in
Oh,
a bit.
wow.
Yeah,
You okay with that?
Yeah, we're meeting anyways.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, just a brief conversation.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yep.
I do agree with the three people on public comment.
Okay.
I think I should go back to the beginning of the meeting.
Okay.
Okay,
I think, yeah, and again, I know we were kind of, shot from the hip on that, so, I'm good with putting it back to the beginning, but I think that what we discussed about with, having a topic
yeah,
right straight away, announcing that topic and holding it to the 5 minutes.
Yeah, I timed tonight.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
I just holding it to that 5 minutes. I think at that point, it won't take a lot of time out of the beginning of it. And like the speaker said, limiting it is gonna be difficult as far as topics. So, I think we kinda just take it case by case, so.
Because public comment can be anything.
Correct. Yep. So, yeah, I'm good moving it
How
back.
you gonna limit it to a topic? I
Yeah,
really don't.
other than stating the topic.
yeah, I
initially.
think stating the topic, John, would be the key, just to make sure that we're not opening ourselves up to a topic that does go down that road of a personal,
Well, that's up to,
right, and that's where,
Well, it's on
and
the
of course,
meeting to say-
and that's where Ricky can.
Well, I think it's all of us, though.
Yeah.
You all can make the recommendation to me to shut it down, too,
Yeah.
so.
It's when it's exactly when it drifts
Yeah.
into that territory,
Yep.
and we don't know where it's going, because
Yeah.
it does come, and as I was
It comes
quoted.
at a higher rate, that's
Yeah,
all.
as I was quoted, I think a little out of context, but it does come sometimes fast and furious.
And we're not prepared
Yeah,
at all.
exactly.
We don't know what the topic's gonna be.
Yeah, where's it going? And then next thing you know, it steps over the line,
Yep.
and we're sort
So-
of,
Yeah.
but, yeah, we don't know what the topic's gonna be, but it's the way it's always been, so people, if they make a comment and
we-
want an answer for it,
but the comment,
the next meeting, we can get an answer for it.
But
the
again,
comment would have to be, doesn't it have to be, relate to either previous business, current business, or upcoming business that's before the board? I mean, so a public comment,
Public comment is public comment. They can comment on anything to do with this town.
oh,
It has nothing to do with our
okay,
meetings.
well, well.
Do you have to be a
that-
resident to public comment?
Hmm?
Do you have to be a resident for public comment?
I would think so, yes.
I think what we've done in the past would be that if it wasn't a member of Weare, that it had to be approved by the board for speak. I think
I was
that's
gonna
what.
say, because I know at town meeting, we ask, we had some department heads that didn't live here. and
Right.
We asked through the moderator, permission for them to be able to speak to the budget, because they weren't residents.
Correct. And that's what I mean, in similar fashion,
Yeah.
this board's approved it or not, so.
So, John, just to clarify, and then not to drag this on too long, but when you say public comment has something, it has to relate to something in the town, I would agree. So that would be, I've got a plug culvert that I want, I've got a situation where I have a road that they're grading, they're plowing it onto my lawn. There could be issues that aren't before us, but they would relate to something that
That we would have
have
jurisdiction over.
jurisdiction.
Yes.
But I can't get up,
But as far as
but I
the
can't get up under
topic-
public comment and talk to you about how frustrated I am about inflationary costs, which are making me now have to buy a refrigerator that last year I could have bought for $3.99 and now it's $6.99. I'm not trying to be sarcastic about that, but that's the that is the purpose of having some sort of, what is your comment on?
The topic,
The topic. And Ricky just identifying that it has to relate to something relative to
Under the
town.
jurisdiction of this board.
Not an individual.
Well, I understand that, that's where we squash it.
Yeah.
Right, but if we know that ahead of time, that it is, that they want to do.
What do you mean by ahead of time?
So when a person stands up to talk, they say their name, their address, and my comment is relating to, I'd like to now do an employee evaluation of the town clerk's assistant. And we would say, no, sorry, that's not appropriate. We're not going to do an employee evaluation because he had a terrible experience with her. That wouldn't be a public comment, would it?
Well, no, it wouldn't, but I
I mean, the other thing too is, you know, I mean, they can comment, but like, hey, you know, the 114 was icy yesterday. Well, that's not our
that's
jurisdiction,
right. Well,
right?
that's-
So do we just umbrella it with our jurisdiction? Oh, I mean, if it's about the fire department, right, and one of the fire trucks cut off somebody or whatever, that's not our jurisdiction, that's Board of Fire Wards. You're at the wrong board. You know, I'm just thinking of how to pertain
They
it
could
to
make the
town
comment
business.
here and we can relay it to them.
We could,
I mean, I think you're trying to put it in black and white, and it can't be in black and white.
oh, it can't be black and white, absolutely
You
not,
can't do
no, I agree, it's very difficult at best, so.
Yeah, but what we want to, as Mr. Butt alluded to, what we want to avoid is people using public comment for a personal agenda that takes us down a road of character defamation or attack of a person besides ourselves, because this is part of what our
That's
job
what
is.
we signed up for, as they
Yes,
said.
exactly.
Within reason.
Yeah, exactly. But we also have people in the room or people in the audience that shouldn't be subject to an individual on camera making statements that might not be fact-based, that could impact a person's personal character.
I thoroughly agree with you, but that
It's-
comes
it's-
down to whoever's running the meeting to
It's just,
say,
yeah,
enough.
or the board as a whole.
Can I ask too that there are some things that are commented on that I think that or a comment gets made that I think you can totally answer.
Yeah, and that's the thing, I mean, we've interjected, but again, to me, it's it's comment, it's not
Debate.
back and forth debate.
No.
If it's a yes or no,
Or it's not our jurisdiction,
Right.
it's fire department, and direct them in the right place.
That's an answer, but to have conversation
Right.
is where I think we have to draw the line.
Right, which
So-
I started tonight.
And I
And you
snubbed.
properly did, because
Right.
I was engaging because I felt his comments had merit, and I wanted to see if
I'm
he
not-
was receptive to that.
I'm not disagreeing.
But
Right.
you were right, I had taken it off
So
topic.
maybe, and my point to this was, if we can answer it,
In a very short fashion.
if we can answer the question, let's answer it.
Yeah.
Because coming back at the end, or coming back next meeting,
we've
we all
lost it.
forget.
Right, we've
Because we've
lost it.
lost it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it doesn't let anybody think that we're not gonna answer them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's be open about it. If you can answer it like that, if it takes asking somebody or some
Yeah.
research, all
Yeah.
means.
Yeah.
But I think after the 5 minutes and before they walk away, not engaging, like you said, in the middle, is take the comment, 5 minutes over, they say thank you, and you say, well, hang on, we could answer that for a
Mm-hmm.
second. And answer it, but it's one answer, one debate. It's not a back and forth.
Yeah, it's not a back and forth conversation.
Yeah,
That's
but
what
I think a
that's what
lot of
need to
things
avoid.
can
Need
be
to-
answered, and we forget to bring them back up. Mm-hmm. And
Oh,
it's, we're all busy, I mean, I can tell you, I forget a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I think it would be good on our part if you could just come up with that answer.
Yeah.
Versus waiting for 2 weeks.
Rather than
Yeah.
weighing it, right, yeah. Okay, does anybody else have anything else? I do have a short C that I'd like to do, real
Okay.
real quick,
My wife will know it.
real quick.
Okay.
Okay? Has to be.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just
So.
kidding.
Nothing else, we'll move to go non-public on RSA 91A3, Roman numeral 2C. Is there a second?
Second.
Moving second, all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. and we will be adjourning afterwards, and thank you, everybody, for watching.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for your feedback tonight.
Yeah,
Yep,
great.
Appreciate it.